Chapter 1259. Xiao Chen burst into laughter. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such a shameless person. After laughing until his stomach hurt a little, Xiao Chen seemed to agree with this statement. Yes, that makes sense. However, can we use the specialties of Heavenly Star Island to replace this profit? Can we guarantee that the quantity is unique? Wang Feng and Elder Xing exchanged glances. They felt that it was fine as long as they did not return empty-handed. Some of the specialties of Heavenly Star Island were rather valuable in the Kunlun continent. Sure. I wonder what specialty the Blue Dragon King intends to use. Is it Heavenly Star Island's secret treasures, fine wine, or divine ore? Wang Feng asked. Xiao Chen shook his head. None of them. There are more than that. As long as the three holy masters say so, we can have as many as we want. What is it? Xiao Chen's words piqued Wang Feng's interest. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, he condensed 2 clumps of air and tossed them to Wang Feng and Elder Xing. What is this? Is this air? Wang Feng and Elder Xing asked, feeling confused. Xiao Chen said, That's right. That's right. It is the unique air of Heavenly Star Island. I will give you as much as you want. Wang Feng and Elder Xing immediately realized that they had been fooled. They stood up furiously and said, Xiao Chen, what is the meaning of this? Don't push your luck. Xiao Chen said calmly, I don't mean anything because the words Bushan Palace are like air here. Air for air, none of us will lose out. You're going too far. This was the first time that Elder Xing had been toyed with so miserably, and he couldn't hold himself back any longer. Dong dong dong. At this moment, a series of footsteps sounded and a guard walked in. He cupped his hands and said, Castellan, there's urgent news from the city gate. The 2 young masters of the West Ocean Dragon Palace and the East Ocean Dragon Palace have arrived at the same time and requested to see you. The young masters of the West Ocean Dragon Clan and the East Ocean Dragon Clan came at the same time. The envoy from Bushan Palace was already troublesome enough to come at this time, and now there were 2 more. The Blue Dragon King has an honored guest. Ha ha. In that case, let's put this aside for now. When Wang Feng and Elder Xing heard this, they immediately knew that trouble had come for Xiao Chen. A smile appeared on his face, and he sat down at the same time, preparing to see how Xiao Chen would deal with 2 young masters at the same time. If Xiao Chen couldn't handle it, he could take the opportunity to teach him a lesson and let him know his place. Are the 2 of you not going to leave? Chen, who was beside Xiao Chen, asked. The one-armed Wang Feng smiled and said, It's fine. We already know about the relationship between Heavenly Star Island and the Divine Dragon Palaces of the 4 seas. They are not very harmonious. Recently, their relationship with the West Ocean Dragon Palace was like fire and water. Since we're here, we naturally have to lend a hand and mediate. Elder Xing snorted coldly. Does the Blue Dragon King need you to mediate? Didn't you hear others say that we are heir? Wang Feng slapped his head and said, I forgot about that. In that case, let's watch how the Blue Dragon King teaches the 2 young masters of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace and the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace a lesson, raising the prestige of our Bushan Palace. The 2 echoed each other, clearly intending to watch a good show from the sidelines, waiting for Xiao Chen to make a fool of himself. Xiao Chen could not be bothered with them. He would deal with the situation as it came. He already had enough trouble. He did not mind the 2 young masters of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palaces coming at the same time. Then, he waved his hand and instructed the guard, invite the 2 of them in. The guard hesitated for a while before asking, should we invite their attendants in as well? Xiao Chen felt excited. The reason the guard hesitated to ask this question was probably because the attendants of these 2 were not simple. It's fine. Let them in together. Xiao Chen said decisively after thinking for a while. If these 2 wanted to watch a joke, then let's see who the joke was. Yes. The guard left to carry out the order. At this moment, Wang Feng and Elder Xing were much more relaxed. They drank tea and chatted casually, occasionally glancing at Xiao Chen. They wanted to see some suspicion on Xiao Chen's face. Without a doubt, they could not see anything. I don't believe that he'll be able to hold on forever. Judging from the guard's tone, he's not going to be able to hold on. Based on that guard's tone, the two young masters of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palaces probably brought an expert of the same level as Emperor Wu. Heavenly Star Island has a mysterious Emperor Wu holding down the fort. A regular Emperor Wu would not be able to suppress him. It's fine. At that time, I might as well provoke him. Given his temper, he will definitely not let the person behind the scenes make a move. Furthermore, if he let the person behind the scenes make a move, he would be weaker than the two Divine Dragon Palaces. In front of the two Dragon Palaces, they are inferior. You should know that the Dragon Palace Masters are not here. As long as he dares to make a move, I will personally teach him a lesson. When have I, the bona fide Emperor Wu, ever been fooled by a junior? The two sent voice transmissions discussing countermeasures. They had to make good use of this opportunity that was presented to them. Not long after, Leng Xiaofan and another young man in a red dragon robe walked into the main hall. An old man followed each of them. Indeed, the two old men were first Heaven Martial Emperors, Emperor Wu. As they walked, they had a majestic gait. Their auras were like mountains, and their gazes were like sabers, deterring others from looking directly at them. The moment the four entered, they discovered Wang Feng and Elder Xing, who were seated at the side. They revealed suspicious expressions in their eyes. Before Xiao Chen could say anything, Wang Feng smiled and said, "The two of you should be the young masters of the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace and the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace. We are the elders of the Law Enforcement Hall and the Inspection Institution of the Bushan Palace. We are just here to drink tea. The few of you can just ignore us. In the eyes of the Blue Dragon King, we are just air." The moment Wang Feng said that, smiles appeared in the eyes of Ling Xiaofan and that youth. They had long heard that the Blue Dragon King did not get along with the three holy masters in charge of the Bushan Palace. It looked like the rumor was true. After the casual greetings, Ling Xiaofan looked at Xiao Chen and said, "Brother Xiao, is my Flood Dragon War Chariot good enough?" Xiao Chen smiled calmly and said, "Many thanks for Brother Ling's gift. There are not many people who can be as generous as Brother Ling. It is passable for me." Ling Xiaofan's face sank as he said angrily, "Don't give me that. If you do not return the war chariot to me today, don't blame me for not giving you face. Even the Thunder King cannot cover for snatching the war chariot of my Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace." The red-clad youth at the side said, "You drained an elder of my Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace until he became an idiot. You have to give us an explanation today. Don't go overboard with some things." What a fellow! Wang Feng and Elder Xing both sucked in a breath of cold air. They had not expected Xiao Chen to be so bold. Not only did he snatch the war chariot of the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master, but he also drained an elder of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace until he became an idiot. Ling Xiaofan and Elder Xing did not stand on ceremony with Xiao Chen at all. This time, they brought Emperor Wu here, intending to forcefully suppress Xiao Chen and make him submit. Perhaps they could force the person behind the scenes to make a move. That way, the palace masters of the Eastern and Western Dragon Palaces would have an excuse to make a move. Wang Feng looked around and took advantage of the situation to say, "Blue Dragon King Xiao Chen, don't go overboard. Since you snatched the war chariot, then return it to someone else. Even if you injured someone, you have to apologize. Otherwise, you will not be able to bear the consequences of ruining the reputation of my Bushan Palace." Ling Xiaofan's group felt surprised. Unexpectedly, this person from the Bushan Palace actually spoke up for them. Now they felt even more confident. Xiao Chen glanced over and smiled coldly. "Since when do I need you to tell me what to do? Who do you think you are? I am the patrolling elder of the Bushan Palace. I have the authority to protect the reputation of the Bushan Palace. What you did ruined the reputation of my Bushan Palace, so I have to do something about it. Xiao Chen smiled and said, Is it up to you to do something about it? Groveling like you, clearly admitting that you were wrong, is ruining the reputation of my Bushan Palace. Are you even fit to be a patrolling elder? I think you are muddled and need to clear your head. But Xiao Chen's figure flashed. His speed was boundlessly fast. Before Wang Feng could react, a 5-fingered handprint appeared on his face. You dare to slap me? Wang Feng roared angrily as he rubbed his face. Xiao Chen said coldly, Let me see if your skin is made of flesh or not. To think that you are this shameless. To think that you are actually speaking up for an outsider on my Heavenly Star Island. I have long found the people of the 3 holy masters' lands an eyesore. You delivered yourself to me and even dare to criticize me. Do you really think that I am easy to bully? This slap is aimed at you. You better behave yourself. If you speak out of turn again, I will take your life. Xiao Chen's forcefulness stunned Wang Feng. He rubbed his face for a long time, unable to say anything. When Wang Feng saw the disdainful gaze of Ling Xiaofan's group, his face burned even hotter. The Patrolling Institute was different from the Law Enforcement Hall. It was not a powerless organization. Instead, it was an organization with real authority within the Bushan Palace. The Patrolling Institute had a lot of authority. Normally, it was awe-inspiring and did not need to be particularly strong. However, Wang Feng, who was used to being awe-inspiring in the Bushan Palace, did not expect him to not follow the rules, not caring about the 3 holy masters at all, daring to humiliate Elder Xing like that. Xiao Chen, don't go overboard. Elder Xing could no longer endure it. No matter what, he had to teach this brat a lesson. Otherwise, he would really become lawless. I'm going overboard? Xiao Chen laughed loudly and stood up. I know what you are thinking now. I also know that you have endured for a long time. I'll give you this chance now. If you can defeat me fair and square, I will return this Heavenly Star Island with both hands. If you lose, scram immediately. Xiao Chen spoke the words in his heart first. Elder Xing felt like something was stuck in his throat. It was extremely unbearable. And you all? Xiao Chen shifted his gaze and looked at Ling Xiaofan and the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master. Since you even brought Emperor Wu over, why the need to speak so much nonsense? Let's settle the matters between cultivators in a duel between cultivators. I will do as you all wish. As Emperor Wu, do you all dare to fight with me, a consummation blue-robed emperor? As long as one of you can defeat me, I will leave immediately. The silent Xiao Chen suddenly erupted, startling the group of people. Contrary to everyone's expectations, Xiao Chen took the initiative to challenge the 3 Emperor Wu without any provocation. What Xiao Chen said was what these people were thinking. However, for some reason, when Xiao Chen said it himself, the 3 Emperor Wu felt it was strange. Instead, they did not dare to say anything. Should they agree or not? They fell into a momentary state of anxiety. Lan Xiaobai and Imochen exchanged glances. They both saw worry in each other's eyes. Elder Xing, agree to it. This fellow is reckless. Let's fulfill his wish today, Wang Feng said impatiently, his face burning. Wang Feng said in a rush, his face burning. As he looked at Xiao Chen, he gritted his teeth in hatred. Chapter 1260. However, Elder Xing hesitated. Recently, there was a piece of news circulating in Emperor Wu's circle. It was extremely explosive. The Qing Emperor's descendant comprehended the sharp spirit finger, the flame rock sovereign's consummate technique, in 10 days in the Black Sea. Originally, Elder Xing felt that this rumor was too fake. How could someone comprehend the secret of a sovereign martial emperor in 10 days? That was a bit too nonsensical. It was simply unbelievable. However, based on Xiao Chen's current appearance, filled with confidence, Could he have really comprehended the sharp spirit finger? If that was the case, it would be problematic. The sharp spirit finger could gather all the energy in the body at one point. With Xiao Chen's current cultivation, this sharp spirit finger would be sufficient to injure them. After all, they were only first heaven Emperor Wus. Before cultivators who had not advanced to martial emperor, even if they were half-step Emperor Wus, they were aloof existences. However, in Emperor Wu's circle, they were at the bottom. Elder Xing agreed to his request. What are you hesitating for? After we win, we will be able to complete our mission perfectly. Seeing that Elder Xing still did not agree, Wang Feng could not help feeling anxious. However, Elder Xing cursed Wang Feng in his heart for being an idiot. Even the two Emperor Wus of the Divine Dragon Palaces are not anxious. Why is this fellow so anxious? He is Emperor Wu. It is natural for him to win. However, if he lost to Xiao Chen, his reputation would be completely ruined. If that happened, his reputation would be completely ruined. From then on, he would become a big joke in the circle of martial emperors. The two Emperor Wus of the Divine Dragon Palaces also thought the same and did not make a decision. They wanted to wait for Elder Xing to speak first. Then, they could see Xiao Chen's strength first before making a decision. This was a foolproof plan. Just like that, they waited for each other. The place became strangely quiet. When faced with Xiao Chen's forceful request for a battle, the three Emperor Wus remained silent at the same time. No one would believe that a mere blue-robed emperor in the Great Perfection Realm could make all three Emperor Wu stay silent out of caution. Xiao Chen laughed out loud. His presumptuous laughter was filled with mockery. No wonder you guys are only Emperor Wu of the first heaven. With such courage, I guess you guys will never have the courage to go through the thunder tribulation of the second heaven. If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't want to fight, then scram. I don't have time to waste with you. Send the guests out. The three Emperor Wus were so angry that they were shaking. But the more Xiao Chen acted like this, the more they felt that he was unfathomable. It wasn't that they were afraid of Xiao Chen. They were just afraid of the one-in-a-million possibility of it happening to them. For an Emperor Wu to defeat a great perfection blue-robed emperor, the victory was not glorious at all. It was only natural. However, if there was such a one-in-a-million possibility of defeat, then it was over. They would become Xiao Chen's stepping stones, unable to raise their heads for the rest of their lives. Furthermore, along the way, there were simply too many legends about him. When facing such a man, it was hard to choose between a rock and a hard place. When Xiao Chen said to send the guests off, the few Emperor Wu's faces flashed with shame. Send the guests off? Xiao Chen, don't think that you can resolve today's matter so easily. I don't believe that you are so strong that there are no limit. Ling Xiaofan felt aggrieved. He had brought Emperor Wus here to humiliate Xiao Chen and take back his Flood Dragon war chariot. Who knew that under Xiao Chen's forceful request for a battle, the Emperor Wu he had brought would actually cower. This was unacceptable to Ling Xiaofan. In his impulse, Ling Xiaofan wanted to attack Xiao Chen directly. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's red-clad young palace master roared furiously and charged over together with Ling Xiaofan. Youthful and arrogant, Ling Xiaofan and the red-clad young palace master gave off a sharpness that was much stronger than that of the three older generation Emperor Wus. While the others were fearful and apprehensive, Ling Xiaofan and the red-clad young palace master did not need to worry so much. At worst, they would just lose. Ling Xiaofan just could not stand Xiao Chen's current strong aura. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "You overestimate yourself. Ling Xiaofan, do you still think that I am the white-robed Xiao Chen who came to the heavenly starry ocean 3 years ago? Today, let me tell you that the gap between us is 10,000 times larger than you imagine. Back then, for the sake of the Neptune headscarf, you schemed against me. Today, I will return it to you. Kneel for me." When facing the charging Ling Xiaofan, Xiao Chen could not be bothered to think about the flaws in his opponent's move. He simply threw a palm strike, directly using force to break technique. Xiao Chen used his strong cultivation and strength to crush all the other party's technique. When Xiao Chen's palm strike landed, it was like the sky collapsed. Ling Xiaofan felt all the state and aura of his martial technique crumble in that instant. Xiao Chen's palm strike expanded infinitely in Ling Xiaofan's eyes. His heart sank for some reason. Horror spread throughout Ling Xiaofan's entire body. He was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. He wanted to retreat but found that it was already too late. But Xiao Chen's palm landed on Ling Xiaofan's shoulder, and primordial energy flowed out of his palm. This was a strong energy that Ling Xiaofan had only seen from his seniors. It flowed through his entire body and he fell to his knees. Purple primordial energy flowed through Ling Xiaofan's body. The strong restriction instantly rendered him immobile, and he could only kneel. Compared to Ling Xiaofan, the red-clad youth's cultivation was weaker. The instant Ling Xiaofan wanted to retreat, Xiao Chen sucked hard and pulled him back. Xiao Chen smacked down with his left hand, and he fell to his knees beside Ling Xiaofan with a plop. The two knelt at nearly the same time. From the moment they attacked to the moment Xiao Chen restrained them, all happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. The two Emperor Wu behind them could not stop them at all. This resulted in Ling Xiaofan and the red-clad youth being humiliated by Xiao Chen for nothing. Young Master! The Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace's yellow-clad old man was the first to react. He exclaimed. With a flash, his figure moved so fast that no one could catch him. Soon, he arrived before Xiao Chen. The other person took this opportunity to arrive before Ling Xiaofan and the red-clad youth, wanting to make a move and remove the restriction on them. The other party charged over ferociously. Xiao Chen took a step back. With each step, 3 lightning whirlpools appeared on his chest. You are truly boundlessly arrogant. To think that you dare to attack the young master. Don't blame this old man for disregarding seniority and attacking you. The yellow-clad old man attacked in rage. Everywhere his palm wind passed, it tore apart the air, giving off an intense light. In an instant, the tables and chairs in the main hall shattered, and the entire city lord's residence shook violently. Emo Chun and Lan Xiaobai immediately flashed out at the same time. This level of exchange was no longer something they could interfere in. If not for the newly built Heaven Dragon City being a secret treasure in itself, the main hall would have collapsed. Xiao Chen was not startled or angry. He was not anxious or impatient. He prepared the sharp spirit finger and counted in his heart. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, kill. After the sharp spirit finger finished preparing, Xiao Chen's sullen face suddenly surged with killing chi. 9 lightning whirlpools appeared in his chest, giving off thousands of lightning bolts. All the energy gathered on his fingertip. The light in the main hall dimmed. Only the electric light on Xiao Chen's fingertip remained as dazzling as the sun. Pu Ci. Blood spurted out, and the yellow-clad old man went flying. A black hole appeared in his palm, and half his palm disappeared. You really comprehended the sharp spirit finger, the consummate technique of the Flame Rock Sovereign, the yellow-clad old man exclaimed in disbelief as he looked at his palm in a daze. The yellow-clad old man's heart trembled. Fortunately, he had not been careless with his earlier palm strike and used all 100 strands of primordial energy. If he had been careless, his entire arm would have been blown off. The sharp spirit finger allowed the Flame Rock Sovereign's fame to spread far and wide. Even primes did not dare to casually touch this consummate technique. It truly lived up to its reputation. Oh no! There is primordial energy in the 2 young palace masters' bodies. We cannot casually remove the restrictions. On the other side, the black-clothed old man's forehead was also drenched in cold sweat. An anxious look flashed across his eyes. The Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master and the sweating black-clad old man looked at the yellow-clad old man, who was in a daze. Xiao Chen had complete control over the situation. Even Emperor Wu might not be omnipotent against him. To Emperor Wu, who cultivated the golden body, losing half his palm was not a serious injury. Even if his heart was blown up, given a certain amount of time, he would be able to recover. However, the golden body of a first heaven martial emperor had not reached the point where it could recover instantly. His arm was temporarily crippled, and his combat prowess immediately dropped by 30%. When the yellow-clad old man saw the missing palm, he looked at Xiao Chen. Shock and rage flashed in his eyes. There was also a faint fear in his eyes. With the sharp spirit finger, this fellow really had the ability to fight against First Heaven Emperor Wu. Xiao Chen quickly removed the restrictions on the two young palace masters. If anything happens to the young palace masters, the Eastern Sea Dragon King and the Western Sea Dragon King will absolutely not let you off. The black-clad old man could not remove the restrictions. Sweat covered his forehead as he roared at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen said indifferently, "Watch your attitude. So what if I kill these two people? Don't forget that they were the ones who attacked me first. If you shout again, I will cripple these two people." When the black-clad old man heard that, he asked sullenly, "What do I have to do for you to release them?" "It's very simple. Someone, help me write 2 contracts. Young Masterling, didn't you come to ask for the war chariot? Now, sign here and hand over the war chariot to me. Furthermore, compensate me for the loss of 10,000 essence stones. Didn't this Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master want my Heavenly Star Island to hand over the profits? Now, sign here and guarantee that the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace will never mention this matter again and compensate me with 10,000 essence stones as well." The moment Xiao Chen made his request, the 2 Divine Dragon Palace old men became enraged. 10,000 essence stones? Are you crazy? How can we possibly take that out? 10,000 essence stones equaled all the wealth of First Heaven Emperor Wu. Even if they could take it out, they could not bear to do so. Xiao Chen retorted calmly, "Is that so? You can't bear to take it out, but the Divine Dragon Palace can. After repeatedly coming to my Heaven Dragon City to cause trouble, do you really think that there is no interest at all? You. This is too much of a bully." Xiao Chen smiled and said, "Seniors, you are being too serious. This little one is just a consummation blue-robed emperor. How could I dare to bully the aloof Emperor Wu? If you are not willing, then so be it. Someone, send our guest off." Ignoring the 2 old men who were so angry that they trembled, Xiao Chen continued, "The weather is cold, and it is so cold at night. It would not be good for the 2 young palace masters to injure themselves by kneeling like this. Remember to add some blankets for them at night." "Agree to it." Leng Xiaofan could not move at all. He glared at Xiao Chen and said through gritted teeth. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master felt very sullen, but he still said the same thing. Leng Xiaofan was not even willing to kneel here for a moment. How could he want to kneel for another night? Absolutely not. Chapter 1261. Aside from feeling sullen, Leng Xiaofan felt even more helpless. Back then, when Xiao Chen first came to the heavenly starry ocean, Leng Xiaofan felt helpless. With just a thought, he could think of a way to deal with Xiao Chen, causing Xiao Chen to not even dare to go to his own fief. Over the past 3 years, Xiao Chen had been improving, and so had he. But now, with a single palm strike, he was forced to kneel in front of Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was a monstrous genius. No one in his generation could compare to him. Leng Xiaofan could not let him become an emperor. This was the only thought in his mind. He absolutely could not let Xiao Chen become an emperor. In the future, the great tribulation of wind and fire would definitely kill him. Right now, he had to endure all the humiliation for now. Whoever had the last laugh would be the real winner. Since the 2 young masters had spoken, the 2 Emperor Wu level experts of the Dragon Palace had no choice but to take out all their belongings and save them as ransom. Just thinking about it made him feel humiliated. The great Emperor Wu was actually toyed with by a blue-robed emperor in the Great Perfection realm. Shao Chun received the essence stones with satisfaction. Then, he patted Ling Xiaofan and the red-robed man's shoulders and said, "Take them away. The restrictive spell will be lifted in half an hour. Young man, don't let us seize the opportunity. Today's humiliation will be returned 100-fold in the future." The two old men each carried a person and retreated with lightning speed. They were not willing to stay in this troublesome place any longer. Aside from the people of Heavenly Star Island, only the Bushan Palace's Wang Feng and Elder Xing remained in the main hall. Shao Chun waved his hand and said, "Men, get another set of tables and chairs. I will continue to discuss the matter of handing over the profits with the envoy from Bushan Palace." "Ha ha ha ha, Blue Dragon King, you must be joking. Let's not talk about profits anymore. We'll leave now. Sorry for disturbing you." He saw that Shao Chun was able to force two Emperor Wus to hand over 10,000 origin essence stones. Wang Feng had long since been scared out of his wits. If this continued, he did not know how Shao Chun would play him. This was not a place for humans. In the future, even if Shao Chun was beaten to death, he would never come back to Heavenly Star Island again. Wang Feng's footsteps were hurried, clearly flustered. He quickly left this place with Elder Xing. When Emo Chun and Lan Xiaobai saw the three Emperor Wu leave, their worried hearts relaxed at the same time. Looking at the white figure, his eyes were filled with admiration. In Kunlun, of the younger generation, who could compete with the Emperor and control the situation with a smile? Only Shao Chun. The three Emperor Wus arrived unexpectedly at the same time. This startled Lan Xiaobai and Emo Chun. One Emperor Wu was already a headache. What would happen if three came? However, Shao Chun calmly dealt with them. Not only did the three return empty-handed, but he even managed to extort 20,000 origin essence stones out of Emperor Wu's hands. The result was like a dream. Even now, the two still found it unbelievable. "Xiaobai, pick a date for the news of re-establishing the Dragon's Gate. Do it within a month." Shao Chun turned around and spoke with a grave expression. He did not show any joy at the results of the battle. Feeling confused, Lan Xiaobai asked, "Why? Didn't you just force the two Dragon Palace's young palace masters to sign a contract, forbidding them from coming to Heavenly Star Island to cause trouble?" Shao Chun smiled helplessly. "Why do you think I could control the situation, forcing the three of them to return empty-handed and unable to do anything to me?" Lan Xiaobai opened his mouth to answer. However, when the words reached his mouth, he felt that the answer was not right. After thinking hard, he could not think of an accurate answer. "Why?" Emo Chun calmed down and thought for a while. Then, she had an answer in her heart. She looked at Shao Chun and said, "Because of strength." Shao Chun nodded and said, "That's right. It is because of strength. Even when facing three Emperor Wu at the same time, I have trump cards and do not fear them. Only in this way can I have the confidence to always be overbearing in terms of aura. The fist is the biggest rule. Contracts and whatnot can be reneged at any time. I just have an excuse. In the future, when facing the Divine Dragon Palace, I can use reason to force them and gain an advantage." Lan Xiaobai suddenly understood. However, he still did not understand. "Then, what does all this have to do with announcing the news of re-establishing the Dragon's Gate in advance?" Shao Chun sat down on the chair that he had already replaced. Then, he said, "I already exposed my strength, and the other party will definitely not take this lying down. Do you think that with my strength, I can cause any waves before the three holy masters and the Divine Dragon Palace? Now that the other party is prepared, it will be hard for me to deal with them the next time they come looking for trouble. We can only announce the news of re-establishing the Dragon's Gate in advance and disrupt their plans so that we can control the rhythm ourselves." Lan Xiaobai was not stupid. After Shao Chun explained, he immediately understood. "I'll do it right away." Emochin, get Elder Qin to come over. I have something to discuss with him. The sense of crisis in Xiao Chen's heart made him unwilling to stop for even a moment. Originally, he had not intended to expose his strength before the Dragon's Gate was re-established. He had strength on par with Emperor Wu. Once it was exposed, some of the tacit understanding between the Thunder King and the other primes would be broken. However, he had no choice today. He had to expose it. Fortunately, the three Emperor Wu had too many misgivings and lost their drive. Xiao Chen only exposed the sharp spirit finger. No one knew that he had 100 strands of primordial energy. This was a blessing in disguise. After a while, the Haotian sect's Elder Qin arrived at the main hall. Xiao Chen went straight to the point, saying, "Elder Qin, I would like to meet the Haotian Emperor. You should have a way." The Haotian Emperor? No, now it should be the Haotian Prime, Ingzongtian. The other party had cleared 3 sovereign tribulations in a row, crossing 9 heavens. Like the Thunder King Sang Mu back then, he already possessed the strength of a prime. Xiao Chen had never formally met the Thunder King before, nor had he spoken to the Thunder King. He always felt that there was some distance between them. In Xiao Chen's heart, the only person he could truly rely on was this Prime Martial Emperor, who he had a heart-to-heart talk with before. Xiao Chen needed this senior's permission to re-establish the Dragon's Gate. Otherwise, he would not be confident. After announcing the matter to the world, there would be huge waves and boundless pressure. Elder Qin was not surprised by Xiao Chen's sudden question. He smiled and said, "The sect master instructed me long ago that if Heavenly Star Island runs into any unsolvable problems, this old man can shatter this jade strip and get him to make an appearance. However, young Master Xiao has never had a chance to use this jade strip. Wouldn't it be a waste to use it now? There really is." "Indeed, I guessed right," Xiao Chen said respectfully. "I'll have to trouble Elder Qin. Give me the jade strip. It is indeed time to use it." "It is good that young Master Xiao has decided." Elder Qin flicked his hand and tossed out a jade strip. After Xiao Chen caught it, he performed a cupped fist salute and said, "If there is nothing else, this old man will take his leave first." Clearly, Xiao Chen had something he wanted to discuss with Ingzongtian alone. So, Elder Qin tactfully left. Without any hesitation, the moment Elder Qin left, Xiao Chen directly shattered the jade strip. Kassier. The jade strip shattered into countless pieces. Each piece flickered with a crystalline light, looking dreamy and beautiful. Before Xiao Chen's curious expression, the countless pieces of light gathered and changed. Finally, they formed an image of Ingzongtian in front of Xiao Chen. "Little brother Xiao, why are you looking for me?" Ingzongtian asked with a smile, appearing to be in good spirits. Xiao Chen said politely, "Big brother Ing, I intend to announce the re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate to the world within 1 month." The moment Xiao Chen said that, the smile on Ingzongtian's face immediately vanished. Then, he asked gravely, "Why are you in such a rush? In my opinion, you are not a rash person or a maniac with wild ambitions. Is there some other reason?" Xiao Chen felt a warmth in his heart. Although Ingzongtian was a senior, he did not seem to have a generation gap with Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen could easily guess Xiao Chen's difficulties. Nodding, Xiao Chen explained Heavenly Star Island's current problems. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace was eyeing Heavenly Star Island covetously. Heavenly Star Island was not strong enough to resist them. Xiao Chen needed to establish the Dragon's Gate's name and let them know the strength behind Heavenly Star Island. Only then would the other party not dare to make any rash moves, giving Heavenly Star Island space to survive. At the same time, Xiao Chen expressed his intentions. He was only here to re-establish the Dragon's Gate out of a sense of responsibility after the death of the Qing Emperor. He did not have any ambitions, nor did he want to rule the world. Xiao Chen did not have the time, energy, or interest to do so. As long as he could continue the Dragon's Gate's inheritance and live up to that sense of responsibility in his heart, it would be fine. Exhilarating had been listening all along, not interrupting. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, he said, I understand what you mean. When the time comes, I will personally make a trip over. As a descendant of the Qing Emperor, re-establishing the Dragon's Gate is a matter of course. There is no need to hide or sneak around. Xiao Chen revealed a trace of joy on his face. Many thanks, big brother. It's fine. There is no need to stand on ceremony. You are a descendant of the Qing Emperor in the first place. Re-establishing the Dragon's Gate is a matter of course. There is no need to sneak around or hide. Since you are open and aboveboard, what is there that cannot be made public? No matter how big the matter is, I will help you shoulder it. The Haotian Prime, Exhilarating, did not hesitate to agree to Xiao Chen's request after he finished speaking. With Big Brother's words, even if there is a huge wave, I am confident of shouldering it. Xiao Chen's words were not humble or flattering. What else could give Xiao Chen more confidence than the promise of a prime? Big Brothering, can I meet the Thunder King? Xiao Chen made another request after hesitating for a while. Exhilarating smiled and said, There is no need. The Thunder King has been watching you. If he wants to meet you, it would be hard for you not to. If he does not want to, no one will be able to see his true body. Remember these words of mine. Although the Thunder Sovereign has rarely interfered to help you along the way, he has always been watching over you. As long as he is around, no one in the entire Kunlun realm will dare to touch you. Whoosh! After Xiao Chen said this, all the motes of light scattered like fireflies. Exhilarating's figure vanished. A flame lit up in Xiao Chen's eyes. That was a surging determination. A faction that had disappeared for 10,000 years would be re-established within 1 month. The storm that Xiao Chen brought would definitely affect the entire Kunlun realm. No matter where one was, this news would cause a stir. The enemies in the open would definitely be enraged. The enemies in the dark would not be able to hold back and jump out. Not everyone was happy to see the Dragon's Gate rise. Back then, the Qing Emperor made too many enemies. After the Qing Emperor fell, all the factions that participated in the destruction of the Dragon's Gate would absolutely not let the Dragon's Gate re-establish smoothly. Chapter 1262. Come then. Let the storm come even more ferociously, Xiao Chen muttered to himself. Unknowingly, he had already been in the Kunlun realm for close to 8 years. Ever since he announced his identity as a descendant of the Qing Emperor, he had been waiting for this moment for far too long. Lan Xiaobai was still helping to choose a date. Xiao Chen could not possibly stop either. The sense of urgency made him cultivate even more anxiously. 20,000 essence stones were sufficient for Xiao Chen to cultivate for a long time. He did not have to worry about resources at all. Aside from cultivating primordial energy, Xiao Chen spent all his remaining time on comprehending and refining his saber soul. After Immortal found out about Xiao Chen's request, she contacted the various large merchant associations in Heaven Dragon City. Adding on the connections of the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce, she helped Xiao Chen obtain a total of 10 peak-grade Demon Fiend Rock. Even after using so many connections, she managed to obtain only 10 peak-grade Demon Fiend Rock. This showed how rare these things were. According to Immortal, as long as they appeared in an auction, people on the level of Emperor Wu would immediately buy them. Furthermore, even sovereign martial emperors would be interested. Being able to obtain 10 peak-grade Demon Fiend Rocks for Xiao Chen was already very incredible. Even those holy lands might not be able to do this within a short time. Naturally, 10 peak-grade Demon Fiend Rocks was insufficient for Xiao Chen to raise his 70% comprehended saber soul to 100% comprehension and transform it into a saber domain. However, raising it to 80% comprehension would not be a problem. If he was lucky, he could raise it to 90% comprehension. As Xiao Chen sat on the peak that belonged to him, he held a peak-grade Demon Fiend Rock in his hand. After taking a deep breath, Xiao Chen started to use his saber soul to touch the Demon Fiend Rock, tempering his saber soul. Using the Demon Fiend Rock to cultivate was not easy. It would trigger a negative heart demon, which was extraordinarily dangerous. If one was not careful, one's mind would be injured. When Xiao Chen's saber soul touched the Demon Fiend Rock, a layer of black demonic qi covered his body. The demonic qi changed, looking like a human demon surrounding him. The scene in front of him suddenly changed. A large amount of abyss demonic energy appeared out of nowhere and attacked Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness. Monstrous waves surged in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness. Black demons with ever-changing figures appeared in his sea of consciousness. Sometimes, these demons would take on the appearance of Xiao Chen's fiendish appearance. It was extremely strange. What he saw wasn't an illusion, but it wasn't real either. It was hard to tell what was real and what was fake. The true sea of consciousness could be said to be completely calm, without any ripples. However, if left unchecked, these illusory demons would eventually injure the main body. Not only his will, but his soul and mind would also suffer significant damage. In serious cases, their souls might even be devoured by the devil, turning them into a homicidal maniac and completely falling into the path of the devil. Demonic Fiend Rock. Just from its name, one could tell that it was no ordinary natural treasure. Using it to take shortcuts was like dancing on a tightrope. Kill, 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 kill. The demons let out miserable shrieks that sounded like ghosts wailing and wolves howling. The sound waves surged into the air, their auras horrifying. Xiao Chen's heart remained as calm as still water. His gaze turned sharp as he held a saber in his hand. This was the true form of his saber soul. He said coldly, "If my heart does not waver, it is all an illusion. Die." In this surging sea of consciousness, Xiao Chen clashed intensely with the demons. The dangerous scene was no less than a real battle. In fact, it was even crueler. Sometimes, the demons would not only take on Xiao Chen's appearance but also Ao Jiao, Lu Ryue, Mo Chen, and everyone else related to Xiao Chen. If Xiao Chen hesitated, thousands of sabers would pierce his heart, inflicting extreme pain and torture. Furthermore, Xiao Chen had to maintain a calm heart amid this frenzied massacre. He could not lose himself in the massacre. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was to cultivate a saber soul. After Xiao Chen chopped down all the demons, an illusory seven-colored, glassy saber light appeared in his sea of consciousness. This was the essence of the Demon Fiend Rock after the negative demons were removed. According to the test's performance and the grade of the Demon Fiend Rock, different amounts of essence would appear. This is my first time seeing a seven-colored saber soul essence. Peak grade Demon Fiend Rock is indeed extraordinary. In the past, when Xiao Chen used superior grade Demon Fiend Rocks, silver essence appeared. This time, however, it was a multicolored one. Xiao Chen wondered what level his saber soul would reach after absorbing it all. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes and pushed off the ground, flying towards that seven-colored light. As Xiao Chen brandished his saber light, the multicolored essence of the saber soul was absorbed into the saber in his hand. When the saber light was completely absorbed, Xiao Chen's expression changed. When the saber light in his hand was completely absorbed, Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes. All the illusions vanished. He had already exhausted the Demon Fiend Rock in his hand. Xiao Chen's gaze turned even sharper. It felt like he could pierce through space with a gentle stab, inspiring fear. Xiao Chen anxiously sank his consciousness into his sea of consciousness. He discovered that the illusory small saber beside the lightning talisman had become even more corporeal. 76% comprehension. What an incredible effect! With another Demon Fiend Rock, my saber soul can definitely advance to 80% comprehension. There are also 9 peak grade Demon Fiend Rock. Who knows, I might be able to advance my saber soul to 90% comprehension and form my own saber domain. Xiao Chen exclaimed joyfully. He had not expected the effects of the peak grade Demon Fiend Rock to be so good. In reality, there was a reason for this. If it were another Emperor Wu using this demon fiend rock, he would not be able to achieve such an effect as Xiao Chen did. Firstly, this was Xiao Chen's first time using the peak-grade demon fiend rock. Naturally, the effects would be extraordinary. For any natural treasure, the first use would have the greatest effect. After that, the effects would slowly weaken until there was no effect at all. Secondly, it had to do with Xiao Chen's mental state. His heart was as calm as still water, completely unaffected by the negative emotions. Killing all the demons without sparing a single one would naturally achieve the best effect. If a large number of demons remained and could not be killed, the impurities in the demon fiend rock would not be removed so cleanly. Perhaps not even half of the 7-colored essence would be left. When one's mental state reached Emperor Wu's level, the higher one went, the more one would discover the effects of one's mental state. After tossing aside his thoughts, Xiao Chen took out the second peak-grade demon fiend rock and continued to cultivate. The first time, Xiao Chen had spent half a day to eliminate all the demons. This time, he only needed 4 hours. However, the improvement he obtained shocked him. 79% comprehension. Xiao Chen was still a step away from 80% comprehension. This blow shattered his dreams. Xiao Chen frowned and said, "The effects are weakening very quickly. To think that I can use 10 demon fiend rocks to break through to a saber domain. How naive." If Xiao Chen could advance his saber soul to a saber domain before the ceremony, he would be more confident when facing Emperor Wu's mockery. Even without the cycle banner, he could hold his own against a second heaven Emperor Wu. Xiao Chen sighed somewhat helplessly. Then, he continued to absorb the third peak-grade demon fiend rock. After he finished, his saber soul reached 80% comprehension. However, Xiao Chen did not feel much joy. With this third demon fiend rock, his saber soul had only reached 80% comprehension, not even 81%. If this continued, not to mention 100% comprehension saber soul, even 90% comprehension would be an unattainable goal. An 80% comprehension saber soul cannot create an absolute suppression. Compared to a 70% comprehension saber soul, there is no qualitative difference. Xiao Chen frowned heavily. Then, he took out the remaining 7 peak-grade demon fiend rocks and entered deep thought. What should I do? Within 1 month, I will announce to the world that I am re-establishing the Dragon's Gate and send out invitations. I already exposed the sharp spirit finger as a trump card. If I do not have another trump card, how am I going to suppress those insignificant people? Feeling anxious, Xiao Chen could not think of any solution. The effects of the demon fiend rocks gradually decreased. As Xiao Chen absorbed them over and over again, the effects became weaker. Why do I have to absorb them over and over again? Why not gather them together and absorb all 7 peak-grade demon fiend rocks at the same time? Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. Inspiration flashed in his mind as he came up with such an idea. What are you thinking of doing? Don't mess around. Inside the immortal spirit ring, Ao Jiao saw Xiao Chen line up the 7 demon fiend rocks as if he wanted to refine them at the same time. This startled her. I plan to refine all 7 peak-grade demon fiend rocks at the same time and risk it all. Idiot! To think that you are really planning to do that. Demon fiend rocks are evil items in the first place, not anything good. Refining just one is already fatal. You want to absorb them all at the same time? Are you tired of living? Ao Jiao scolded. Don't think that you are the only smart one who thought of this. Some madmen have tried it before. Refining demon fiend rocks at the same time can multiply the effect. However, one can only refine 3 peak-grade demon fiend rocks at the same time. That is the limit. If one exceeds this limit, they will either go crazy, their souls will scatter, or they will become crippled. None of them will have a good ending. Even if one can refine 3 at the same time, that would be a deity race cultivator with extraordinary mental energy. Few people of the other races can do that. Xiao Chen's originally hesitant expression became more resolute when he heard this. Xiao Chen had transmigrated and reincarnated. His mental energy was more than twice that of a regular human's in the first place. Furthermore, he cultivated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation, making his mental energy even stronger, already condensing it into magic energy. In terms of mental energy, even the deity race's Emperor Wu did not have many people stronger than Xiao Chen. Of course, in terms of usage of mental energy, Xiao Chen was definitely not as good as the deity race cultivators. Back then, when Emperor Forsaken made a move, he returned without any results. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen felt more confident. Ao Jiao, I never do things rashly. However, this time I have to take a gamble. The re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate is very important. I do not have the corresponding strength. Just the Haotian Prime alone will not be able to suppress that group of small fries. Pu Ci. Before Ao Jiao could reply, Xiao Chen's 80% comprehended saber soul came out of his forehead with a flash. The instant the 80% comprehended saber soul appeared, all the bladesmen on Heavenly Star Island felt a formless force that made the sabers in their hands tremble. The saber intent that radiated out buzzed endlessly. Fortunately, this moment ended as quickly as it came. When the saber soul came in contact with the 7-peak grade demon fiend rocks, the scattered saber intent immediately vanished. Black fog shrouded the summit, and a sinister wind blew. A horrifying demon moved unpredictably in the black fog. Such a mysterious phenomenon attracted the attention of all the cultivators around the mountain range. What's going on? Why is there such a terrifying demonic chi on the peak where Xiao Chen cultivates? That demon is very horrifying. With just one look, the dark side of my heart surged, unable to suppress my murderous intent. Chapter 1263. Oh no! Could Big Brother Xiao Chen have entered a state of berserking qi deviation? Yu Chenxi, Xianyuan Zhantian, Gong Yangyu, and the others all gathered at the foot of the mountain, all of them speaking anxiously and worriedly. Some people could not resist rushing up the mountain to take a look. Stop right there. No one is to move. The Life Reaper Azura Lan Chaofeng appeared silently. When he saw the dark clouds covering the mountain and the ever-changing demons, his expression suddenly changed. I heard that Lan Chaofeng asked Imochen to collect peak-grade demon fiend rock. Could this little fellow have taken that path? Senior Lan, what's going on? Did Big Brother Xiao Chen enter a state of berserking qi deviation? Lan Chaofeng did not say anything. He formed hand seals and quickly formed hand seals. The primordial energy in his body surged, and a terrifying aura spread out from his body. Then, Lan Chaofeng pointed to the sky, and a vast barrier directly sealed off this place, including the mountain where Xiao Chen cultivated. Even Lan Chaofeng found it somewhat taxing to seal off such a large place. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and said calmly, "Keep today's matter a secret. Xiao Chen cannot be disturbed by anyone right now. If anything goes wrong, this little fellow will be completely destroyed. The few of you scatter to the periphery. If you discover anyone suspicious and do not heed the first warning, you can directly make a move. I will personally guard this mountain." Yes. Lan Chaofeng had never seen Lan Chaofeng so anxious before. After hearing his orders, Yu Chenxi and the others did not say anything else. They scattered to guard the periphery. As for Lan Chaofeng himself, he personally remained at the foot of the mountain to guard Xiao Chen. As Lan Chaofeng looked at the terrifying black demonic qi on the mountain, he said with lingering fear, "This little fellow. That is a taboo that even I do not dare to touch." Just how many peak-grade demon fiend rocks did he absorb? 3, or did he surpass the taboo and refine 4? If Lan Chaofeng knew that Xiao Chen refined 7 in one go, he would disregard everything to stop Xiao Chen. In the chaotic sea of consciousness, demons and monsters danced wildly and a boundless baleful aura surged continuously. The moment the phenomenon first appeared, The surging murderous aura instantly caused Xiao Chen's heart to waver. Slaughter, hatred, pain, jealousy, and various other negative emotions assaulted him, causing him to be unable to endure it and almost collapse. So painful, so painful! Amid the chaos, Xiao Chen could not even form a saber soul. He held his head with both hands and knelt on the ground. The expression on his face changed unpredictably, showing pain and conflict. In his eyes, the world was completely distorted. Those demons that were born from negative emotions. In his heart, it was distorted and exaggerated beyond recognition. The entire world was a blur, and he couldn't see anything clearly at all. Refining 7 top-grade Devil Fiend rocks at the same time would multiply the effects, but the danger would also multiply. As soon as he appeared, he gave Xiao Chen a show of strength. If he didn't wake up, his entire soul would be occupied by negative emotions, and he would become a devil who would kill without blinking an eye. Throughout history, there had been many outstanding talents and ambitious overlords who fell to Demon Fiend Rock. This was not strange at all. Shortcuts were not that easy to take. The torture continued and the pain intensified. Xiao Chen's mind turned chaotic as he howled in pain. Piercing auditory hallucinations appeared in Xiao Chen's ears. Horrifying mysterious phenomena appeared before him, and despair filled his heart. Gaga gaga! You are just an arrogant maniac. Do you think that you are very incredible? If not for the Thunder Sovereign standing behind you, who knows how many times you would have been killed already? You are just a bastard. Serves you right to be chased out of your clan. Your blood is cold and your heart is ice. Serves you right to be rejected by others. Serves you right to die before advancing to martial emperor in 5 years. Piercing auditory hallucinations rang out in Xiao Chen's ears. Even when he covered his ears, he could not block out this sound. Endless illusions appeared before Xiao Chen. The most horrifying one was when he underwent his great tribulation of wind and fire, burning to death on the Emperor's road, dying while he was just 1 step away from the Emperor's door. When Xiao Chen saw it with his own eyes, it was like experiencing it for himself. It felt incredibly real. Everyone in the world started mocking Xiao Chen. Indeed, he was a short-lived person. Meteor, oh meteor! Whoever laughs last is the true hero. These people included the Zodiac Hall's young master, Di Wuk, the Ghost Monarch's personal disciple, and the Xingtian's followers. There were also the people that Xiao Chen once trampled on, all of them laughing wantonly. The laughter was piercing, overlapping with the auditory hallucinations. It was so painful that one wished for death, on the verge of collapse. A voice of despair rang out in Xiao Chen's heart. Just give up. Living is too tiring. Who is as bitter as you, becoming Emperor Wu and getting attacked by half of the primes in the world? Who is like you? Driven by the responsibility in your heart, wanting to restore the sect of your ancestors? However, you have to hide and sneak around? You live in fear, fearing that if you take a wrong step, you will be consigned to eternal damnation. You even implicate your friends and family. Who is as lonely as you? You clearly have someone you love, but you do not dare to bring her to your side, fearing that someone will harm you and make an irreparable mistake? Who can understand your helplessness? You are clearly just walking your own path, yet you suffer from all sorts of people, clowns, insulting and mocking you endlessly, whether openly or in the dark. Blue Dragon King, looking at the world, who is as bitter as you? Who is as lonely as you? Who is as bitter as you? Who is as lonely as you? Give up. Give up. You have to hate. You have to hate that bastard Qing Emperor for leaving behind a huge mess for an innocent person like you to bear. You have to hate. You have to hate that hypocrite Thunder King. You are clearly being hunted down, yet he watches from the back and does not make a move. You have to hate. You have to hate those insignificant people who gave them the authority to wantonly insult. No matter whether you are right or wrong, they will curse you and curse you to hell, waiting for you to be consigned to eternal damnation, watching you make a joke of yourself. Xiao Chen's eyes turned hazy, appearing somewhat crazed and somewhat cold. He muttered, "Right, I have to hate. I have to hate. I have to hate that heaven is unfair to me. The Qing Emperor caused my Emperor's path to be filled with suffering. The Thunder King is putting on an act for my own good. There are so many insignificant people gossiping about me." At the foot of the mountain, Lan Chaofeng's expression suddenly turned wild. His barrier shook continuously, and a surging demonic flame and baleful aura soared into the sky. What's going on? How many peaked gray demon fiend rocks did he refine at the same time? Lan Chaofeng stood up with a grave expression. A horrified expression flashed in his eyes. In his sea of consciousness, Xiao Chen, who was on the verge of falling into depravity, felt significantly less pain. If you want to kill and cannot find the Qing Emperor, then kill all the descendants of the Qing Emperor. Those Shao clan members in the Sky Dome realm all have the bloodline of the Qing Emperor. They all deserve to die. If you want to kill the Thunder King, that hypocrite. That old fellow is immortal for 10,000 years, and should have died long ago. If you want to kill all the dancing clowns and insignificant people. Do not leave a single one alive. The voice in Xiao Chen's heart rang out again. His eyes turned scarlet, and a strong killing intent surged from his entire body. That's right. I want to kill. I want to kill. I want to kill. Kill. The voice in Lan Chaofeng's sea of consciousness shouted. In reality, Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes. A scarlet light flashed in his eyes as he roared, "Kill!" Rumble. Immediately, the originally shaky barrier crumbled. Boundless demonic chi formed a black pillar of light from the summit and soared into the sky, tearing through the clouds. Lan Chaofeng took a step back and muttered, "It's over. I can't hide even if I wanted to now." What's going on? Mo Chen and Lan Xiaobai rushed over and asked with horror on their faces, not understanding what happened. Lan Chaofeng waved his hand and said with a grave expression, "Don't ask anything. Spread out and don't let anyone near. You will not be able to block people on the level of Emperor Wu. Let them in. I'll guard them." Right now, Xiao Chen is at the most crucial moment. He cannot allow anyone to disturb him. He already has half a foot in the deep abyss, entering the demonic Tao. Stepping into the deep abyss, entering the demonic Tao. These words frightened Mo Chen and Lan Xiaobai into paling, and they could not help crying out. How can it be like this? How can it be like this? Mo Chen muttered, somewhat at a loss. Lan Chaofeng sighed. This fellow probably pushed himself too hard, wanting to have another trump card on the day of the ceremony. Never mind, this is not the time to speak nonsense. Quickly organize the people. Don't let ordinary people pass through. If he really kills someone, he will never be able to turn back. Mo Chen and Lan Xiaobai could hear the urgency in Lan Chaofeng's words. They did not dare to linger, immediately leaving to carry out the order. As Xiao Chen's conferred land, Heaven Dragon City had risen very quickly recently. It would be impossible to say that there were no experts of hostile factions hiding in the city. This was an extremely normal thing. The various large factions were very intertwined with each other. They all infiltrated each other. The Holy Lands were no exception. Normally, Mo Chen and the others would not care. After all, the other party did not do anything. They could not possibly chase him out just because he was strong. However, at this crucial moment, this was what they feared the most. As long as the other party caused trouble and entered the demonic Tao, it would be over. At the same time, a voice rang out in Xiao Chen's heart again, where the demonic flame gathered. You want to become a demon. Only by becoming a demon can you be free. Only by becoming a demon can you be omnipotent, fearless, able to kill whoever you want. Fall into the darkness and become a demon. The voice in Xiao Chen's heart gave off a boundless temptation. I want to hate, I want to kill, I want to become a demon. The sun hung high in the sky, illuminating the world and making it bright. Heavenly Star Island was as calm as usual. However, it was accompanied by the heart-wrenching word kill. At the peak that belonged to Shao Chen to the northwest of Heaven Dragon City, an overwhelming demonic light soared into the sky. In an instant, the sky darkened as if it was night, pitch black. Only that black demonic light was piercingly bright and eye-catching. Immediately, the entire city turned flustered, not knowing what to do. The dark clouds made everyone flustered and tremble. What's going on? Is a great demon about to appear? What a horrifying demonic flame! I have only seen such a scene in the Black Sea. A greater heavenly Emperor Wu fell into the demonic Tao and killed half the people of the sea region. Finally, the 13 great bandits had to work together to kill that person. However, isn't that the peak of the Blue Dragon King Shaoqin? How can there be such a horrifying demonic flame? Could it be that the Blue Dragon King entered Berserking Chi Deviation? Chapter 1264. The city was in an uproar. This news was explosive enough. It was hard for people not to be shocked. That's probably true. The Blue Dragon King's power is growing too fast. It's not surprising that he would go berserk. Let's go take a look. Those who were not afraid of death could not resist the curiosity in their hearts and rushed towards the mountain peak. In an instant, figures flickered in the sky. Tens of thousands of people soared into the air, all flying towards the same direction. The scene was incomparably spectacular. At the same time, in a few inconspicuous shops in Heaven Dragon City, several ordinary-looking old men walked out and looked coldly at the soaring demonic light. Among them, there were people from the immortal Holy Lands like Zodiac Hall, Five Poison Sect, Myriad Fiend Island, Inyang Paradise, and Moon Palace. There were also people from ancient families and forces like the Dragon Palaces of the Four Seas. Without exception, they were all emperors. A few of them even had the strength of Emperor Wu at the second sky. In just 1 year, the Heaven Dragon City became the center of the Western Sea. The speed of its rise was unprecedented. The various major factions of the Heavenly Starry Ocean all saw this and did not lower their guard. Even if they didn't want to be enemies with Heaven Dragon City, they had to show that they valued this city. They had sent their Emperor-level experts to guard the city. It could appear instantly in unexpected situations, such as when the Heaven Dragon City's West Sea Dragon Palace was destroyed. The hidden Emperor Wu would jump out and stop the West Ocean Dragon Palace from taking all the territories. For example, Blue Dragon King Shao Chen had suddenly gone berserk. Now that there was an Emperor-level powerhouse present, they could make a good decision. After a while, many martial monarchs sneered and made up their minds. They silently walked towards the mountain peak. There were also a few Emperor Wu who chose to remain neutral after remaining silent for a long time. For example, the experts of the Myriad Fiend Island, the Lunar Palace, and the Inyang Paradise did not act rashly. At the peak where Shao Chen was, Mo Chen and the others saw batches of cultivators rushing over. After failing to persuade them for a long time, they chose to kill. I repeat, this is the forbidden area of the Heaven Dragon City. Anyone who dares to come near will be killed. Mo Chen said coldly, killing a small perfection blue-robed emperor who tried to barge in with a palm strike. There were at least 1 or 2 corpses of cultivators who had tried to barge in, but had been killed. Such a cold and frightening scene finally shocked the people who came to watch the show. After all, no matter how heavy their curiosity was, it was needless to say which was more important compared to their lives. Step down, all of you. You won't be able to interfere in today's matter. There's nothing interesting to see inside. Lan Xiaobai's words were calm, but there was an undeniable tone in his tone. Although it was a request, it was also an order. With some corpses as a foil, his words were filled with deterrence. Despite their reluctance, some of them still retreated obediently. After retreating for 10,000 meters, they stopped and continued to watch from afar. Jean Lin could not help cursing. This group of people is really not afraid of death. Asking them to retreat is for their own good. Even now, they are not willing to leave. Lan Xiaobai rubbed his temples and said, "Never mind. We have already retreated far enough. It's up to them." Imochen said worriedly, "Earlier, there were at least 5 Emperor Wus who passed through our blockade." Lan Xiaobai turned his head and said, "I know. I'll leave this to Master. We can no longer block existences on the level of Emperor Wu." Imochen hesitated for a while before turning her head back and asking, "Do you think that big brother Xiao Chen can return?" Lan Xiaobai was not in a rush to answer. After a while, he said, "I believe him. Although he looks cold on the outside, his heart is warm. I don't believe that he will fall into the demonic Tao." At the foot of the mountain, Lan Xiaofeng looked coldly at the 4 people in front. He said, "The Heavenly Province Academy, the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace, the 5 Poison Sect, and the ancient noble clans Old Jiang. I really did not know that this insignificant Heaven Dragon city hid so many Emperor Wus." When the 4 saw Lan Xiaofeng, they were slightly stunned. Unexpectedly, Lan Xiaofeng, who was known as the life-reaping Azura, would appear at this moment. After thinking for a while, the elegant old man from the Heavenly Province Academy said, "Senior Lan, you have seen the situation for yourself. The Blue Dragon King Xiao Chen has already taken half a step into the demonic Tao. This is the best time to kill him. If he really becomes a demon, he will bring a calamity to the entire heavenly starry ocean." "That's right. You are also aware of his talent. Once such a demon matures, I dare say that he will endanger the entire Kunlun realm. Senior Lan, you should not stop us. You should charge up with us and kill this demon while he is still in the cradle." Lan Xiaofeng retorted indifferently, "What are you arguing about? Isn't he still half a step into the demonic Tao? Don't label him as a demon so early. At the very least, he has not killed a single person yet and has not formally entered the demonic Tao yet. If we really wait for him to become a demon, it will be too late. Senior Lan, you'd better not be blind and become a sinner for all time," the old man from the 5 Poison Sect said in a strange tone, his words extremely vicious. "If you want to protect someone, you have to see when. If we kill him now, the Thunder King will not dare to say anything. We are killing a demon, a powerful demon. He will be remembered in history as a hero," the black-clad old man from the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace said righteously. "Senior Lan, it's fine if you don't make a move, but don't stop us. Don't think that we are afraid of you just because you are the life-reaping Azura. Even if we attack together, you might not be a match for us." The ancient noble clan's Old Jiang took a step forward, feeling a sense of danger. Lan Xiaofeng smiled coldly and said, "After not making a move for so many years, do you really think that I, the life-reaping Azura, am an old man?" A horrifying killing chi suddenly erupted from Lan Xiaofeng's body. The 4's eyes turned dazed as they saw a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood behind Lan Xiaofeng. There were even the corpses of famous Emperor Wu bobbing up and down in the sea of blood, shrieking miserably. The 4 immediately panicked. Just how many Emperor Wu did this fellow kill to generate such a horrifying killing chi? Miserable shrieks rang out. Before the ancient noble clan's Old Jiang could understand what was going on, his 2 arms flew up at the same time, and blood spurted out from his arms. However, to the others, Lan Xiaofeng did not move at all. However, a dagger flickering with cold light had appeared in his hand at some point in time. The dagger danced between Lan Xiaofeng's fingers as he said indifferently, "Breaking your arms is a lesson for you. You are just a group of First Heaven Emperor Wu. Killing you is no different from killing dogs." Cram. However, just at this moment, a flash of starlight flashed, taking advantage of the moment when Lan Xiaofeng attacked. Lan Xiaofeng's heart sank. "Oh no! I let the people from Zodiac Hall sneak in. Furthermore, based on the aura, it is a second Heaven Emperor Wu. However, if Lan Chaofeng gave chase at this moment, the four before him would definitely not just obediently retreat. Lan Chaofeng immediately fell into a dilemma. He could only let that astral palace Emperor Wu fly to the summit. Up at the summit, the voice in Xiao Chen's heart continued to shout enticingly, "I want to become a demon. I want to become a demon. I want to become a demon. I want to make Xiao Chen say this personally." Boundless hatred filled him with murderous intent, and the murderous intent pushed him 1 foot into the abyss of becoming a demon. Many outstanding talents in history ended up entering berserking chi deviation because their mental states failed to keep up as their strength increased. As a result, they lost themselves in the face of desire. Xiao Chen's mental state was several times higher than that of his peers. Even many of the older generation could not compare to him. Unexpectedly, refining 7-peak grade demon fiend rocks at the same time triggered a heart demon that was too strong. Caught off guard, Xiao Chen fell for it, not giving him any buffer time at all. The small hatred in Xiao Chen's heart magnified infinitely, turning into a surging killing intent. Right now, as long as Xiao Chen took another step forward, he could no longer turn back. At this moment, Xiao Chen's heart was already completely suppressed. Although he still had a weak trace of rationality, he put up a final resistance. He didn't say that he wanted to become a demon. However, if he encountered external pressure, he would be able to resist it. However, if he ran into any external pressure, he would turn into duckweed, swept away by a wave. Ao Jiao, who was in the Immortal Spirit Ring, felt very anxious. However, she could not think of any good ideas. At this moment, no one else could help Xiao Chen. He could only rely on his own willpower. However, Xiao Chen's willpower, which had always been successful, was put to a severe test this time. He could fall at any moment. What should I do? What should I do? No matter how much Ao Jiao thought about it, she could not think of any good ideas. Refining 7-peak grade demon fiend rocks at the same time. Since ancient times, no one had ever been so bold. Even those madmen would not dare to do such a thing. At this critical moment, Xiao Chen's peak will of thunder suddenly gave off a loud roar. The strong might of thunder exploded in his sea of consciousness. The will of thunder, which was only 1 step away from becoming an innate thunder crystal, let out its own furious roar at this moment. The bewitching voice in Xiao Chen's heart paused momentarily before this explosion of thunder. The roaring thunder could rupture eardrums and make one's heart tremble. However, to Xiao Chen at this moment it sounded as pleasant as celestial music. His heart, which had been suppressed by chaos, finally obtained temporary peace. Several heartwarming scenes appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. Xiao Chen learned the Saber Dao under Lu Ryue's tutelage on Qingyun Peak. The many disciples of the Xiao clan in Mo City knelt down and pleaded for Xiao Chen. During the king conferral ceremony, the Thunder King stepped forward and personally saved Xiao Chen from Emperor Forsaken. On Heavenly Star Island, the gazes of his companions filled with respect and hope. Along the way, I have never been alone. Amid the mysterious phenomenon, the murderous intent in Xiao Chen's eyes receded like the receding tide, his hatred vanishing. Cold sweat trickled down Xiao Chen's forehead. When he thought of what happened earlier, he felt a lingering fear. How dangerous! It did not give me any buffer time at all. If not for the will of thunder shocking the baleful aura for a moment at the crucial moment, the consequences would have been dire. Originally, Xiao Chen's mental state was not weak. However, the heart demon was too strong, not giving him any buffer time from the start. As long as Xiao Chen had a chance to catch his breath, given his mental state and strong mental energy, he would be able to recover his mental state in an instant. When the countless demons in front saw that Xiao Chen had woken up, they continuously created all sorts of illusions and terrifying illusory sounds, trying to pull Xiao Chen back into a state of massacre. Chapter 1265. However, it was clearly impossible for the same move to work on Xiao Chen twice. Gurgle, gurgle. When the move failed, all the demons started moving at the same time. Then, they gathered together and turned into a mountain-sized demon. It looked as disgusting as one could imagine. However, what shocked Xiao Chen even more was yet to come. The mountain-sized demon transformed continuously. Finally, it turned into a black-clad man who looked exactly the same. This person's face was filled with evil intent, and he held a black saber in his hand. He gave Xiao Chen a familiar yet strange feeling. "Who are you?" The black-clad man smiled and said, "I am you and you are me. However, your heart is usually very stable, never giving me a chance to appear." Xiao Chen suddenly startled awake. He understood that this was the other him formed by the desires and the various negative emotions in his heart. Everyone had good and evil sides. No one could avoid them. Naturally, Xiao Chen was no exception. This was somewhat problematic. With the support of the 7-peak Grey Demon Fiend rocks, Xiao Chen did not know how strong his evil thoughts would be. If he died here, he would be completely erased. "Thank you for your arrogance, giving me a chance to appear. Go in peace. I will carry your desires and live on." The black-clad man's lips curled up in a sinister smile. Then, his figure flashed as he charged at Xiao Chen. The saber technique that the black-clad man attacked was Xiao Chen's specialty, flawless bright moon. However, this moon was a black, evil moon. It gathered evil thoughts and inspired fear. How fast! In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiao Chen attacked at lightning speed. He also used flawless bright moon to clash. The two moons competed with each other. Two saber chi, one black and one white, clashed at the same time. In the end, Xiao Chen's saber chi instantly scattered. The black saber chi contained a berserk killing intent, knocking Xiao Chen back and causing him to vomit blood. "How can it be like this?" Xiao Chen asked, feeling doubtful. The black-clad man walked over step by step. He smiled and said, "I know everything you know. I have this endless massacre and evil thoughts to use. However, you can only defend your heart. How can you compare to me?" Whoosh! With a flash, the man in black did not give Xiao Chen a chance to overtake him. He began to suppress Xiao Chen. The various killing moves that Xiao Chen usually used were displayed in an even more brutal manner in the hands of the black-clothed man, and each move was much more powerful than the original. Too weak. You can't use this move like that. With just this bit of skill, you still want to walk down the road of Emperor? How naive. In just 10 moves, Xiao Chen was already covered in cuts and bruises. On the other hand, the black-clothed man was orderly and skillful. Every time he lost, Xiao Chen would ruthlessly taunt him. Xiao Chen calmed down and thought of another move, momentary glory. Yes, it was momentary glory. He had personally comprehended this move, and he needed to experience it himself to be able to use it. As an evil will, the other party would never have thought of this. Saber lights flickered, and all sorts of mysterious phenomena coalesced into a scene of Xiao Chen standing proudly on the peak of a mountain and all the outstanding talents falling. The black-clothed man smiled and said, "This is what you understand as glory. However, in my heart, true glory is like this." After saying that, the black-clothed man also chopped down with momentary glory. The outline of the scene did not change. However, behind the black-clothed Xiao Chen in the scene was a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. White bones piled up everywhere. The two scenes clashed intensely. The two stretched out their hands at the same time and said softly, "Break!" Whoosh! Space shattered, and all the scenes intertwined, forming an intense clash. The two were evenly matched. It was the black-clothed man's turn to be startled. "What's going on? My glory used the corpses of the outstanding talents to form a sea of blood. How can his glory compare to mine?" A bright light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. His heart became even more resolute. He smiled and said, "Indeed, it is as I expected. You do not understand me at all. You do not understand my glory. You do not understand my hot-bloodedness. Similarly, you do not understand my sorrow. When Ao Jiao, who was in the immortal spirit ring, saw the killing qi in Xiao Chen's eyes slowly vanish, she revealed an expression of pleasant surprise. Although the demonic qi had not disappeared, Xiao Chen had already woken up. He withdrew the foot that was halfway into the deep abyss in the end. Suddenly, a beam of starlight rushed up from the foot of the mountain. Its speed was faster than the human eye could react to. In one moment it was still at the foot of the mountain. In the next moment it appeared before Xiao Chen. The afterimage behind Xiao Chen had yet to fade away. It gave the illusion of a bright beam of starlight stretching over, never stopping. The starlight gathered, and an old man with a goatee appeared before Ao Jiao. He wore clothes embroidered with stars. The goatee looked at Xiao Chen with shock in his eyes. He muttered, "What a powerful blue dragon king! Even when one foot is halfway into the deep abyss, he can still pull himself back. I did not waste a 9-star divine movement talisman in vain. Just so I can stimulate the killing intent in your heart and push you into the deep abyss." After saying that, the goatee started storing up power, preparing to attack Xiao Chen's main body and stimulate Xiao Chen's instinctive killing intent. Scram! Just at this moment, a beam of golden light flew out from Xiao Chen's finger. Ao Jiao stood on Little Yellowfeather, bathed in a golden flame, charging out like a goddess. The goatee old man was slightly stunned. When he saw that Ao Jiao was only a great perfection blue-robed emperor, he immediately revealed a cold smile. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Even the great perfection blue-robed emperor dares to tell me to scram? Scatter! The goatee old man flipped his palm, and a purple star banner appeared. Then, he casually waved it at Little Yellowfeather like he was chasing away a fly. The surging starlight gathered and kicked up a small starlight hurricane. The starlight seemed to condense into a solid wind that howled. Everywhere it passed, space cracked. Ao Jiao did not panic. Her gaze turned grave, and Little Yellowfeather's body burned with light. Its aura suddenly soared, and it spat out a clump of flame. This clump of golden flame was extraordinary. One could vaguely see the vague shape of a sun in it, like a newborn solar star. Strictly speaking, the sun was also a star. In the Zodiac Hall, the Solar Astral Palace ranked first was also the Solar Astral Palace. The flame that Little Yellowfeather spat out was a secret technique of the Golden Crow race, the Solar Astral Flame. It was said that a peak adult golden crow could spit out a miniature sun when it opened its mouth, capable of destroying a continent. Although this clump of solar astral flame was far from the legendary scene, there were already some hints of it. The starlight from the purple star slowly melted under the heat of this solar astral flame, eventually assimilating into it. When the goatee old man saw this scene, he was stunned. The Golden Crow Holy Beast? The Golden Crow Holy Beast was born in the sun. From the moment it was born, it carried the might of the sun. It was known as the Lord of the Stars. Any starlight would pale in comparison to it. The Golden Crow was a holy beast that all those who cultivated astral energy dreamed of obtaining. It was also the bane of all those who cultivated astral energy. Wild joy appeared in the goatee old man's eyes. A young golden crow. The heavens are helping me. I used the heavenly astral divine movement talisman at the right time. Otherwise, this golden crow would not be mine. Break. The goatee old man spun the astral banner. This time, he paid 120% of his attention, no longer as casual as before. In one strike, he used 80% of his primordial energy to drive the astral banner in his hand. With a loud bang, the solar astral flame shattered. When the flame shattered, a flaming meteor rain fell from the sky above the mountain, flickering in the sky. Little Yellowfeather, I'll leave it to you. A determined look flashed in Ao Jiao's eyes. Then, she pushed off Little Yellowfeather's back and soared into the air. Little Yellowfeather cried out twice as if telling Ao Jiao not to worry. Its figure shook, and its body suddenly split into countless flaming golden feathers. Thousands upon thousands of flaming feathers gathered on Ao Jiao's body, looking like a suit of battle armor made of golden thread, burning with a divine fiery light. Life sacrifice, the Golden Crow race's forbidden technique. What exactly is this little golden crow's background? The goatee old man's eyes turned doubtful. The golden crow could obtain the inheritance of its ancestors in its bloodline, could learn by itself and comprehend all sorts of secret technique. However, this life sacrifice art was a forbidden technique that only the Golden Crow race's king could execute. After obtaining the golden thread battle armor made of little yellow feathers life sacrifice, Ao Jiao's aura became incredibly strong. Xiao Chen hovered in the sky. From a distance, she looked dazzling with golden light and misty flames. She looked holy and dignified, like the Valkyrie of ancient legends. Ao Jiao's eyes narrowed as she held her two sabers. Then, she sent out a beam of golden flaming light, taking the initiative to charge at the goatee old man. The might of a great sun surged out. The goatee old man discovered that the astral energy he used was completely suppressed. This was undoubtedly a fatal threat to him. He came from the Zodiac Hall. All his martial techniques and cultivation techniques were related to astral energy. Suppressing astral energy was equivalent to crippling half of his strength. Xiao Chen stabilized the situation for now. The life sacrifice had a time limit. Once the time was up, he would be able to deal with this insignificant great perfection blue-robed emperor in one move. Whoosh! Whoosh! Golden light flickered continuously in the air. Ao Jiao's exquisite figure created beams of light in the air as she surrounded the goatee old man and attacked him relentlessly. This was a dazzling battle that dazzled everyone's eyes and overwhelmed them. Time ticked by, but Ao Jiao's might did not diminish. The goatee old man calmly brandished the purple star banner in his hand, forming an impenetrable defense. I'll let you be arrogant for now. Let's see how long you can last. Although the goatee old man was in a sorry state, he did not panic at all. This was because he knew that once the time limit of the life sacrifice was up, Ao Jiao would immediately return to her original form. At that time, he could draw out the astral energy and kill this girl in one move. However, just at this moment, an intense killing chi surrounded the goatee. Before the goatee could react, he saw saber lights flickering with electricity appear around him. In the sky, on the ground, in all directions, boundless saber lights flickering with electricity formed a world of sabers. Saber domain. What's going on? For the first time, horror appeared in the goatee old man's eyes. Emperor Wu, who could comprehend a saber domain, had the ability to kill someone of a higher cultivation. This was extremely horrifying. Lan Xiaofeng. It must be Lan Xiaofeng coming over. Back then, the Life Reaper Azura was able to kill countless Emperor Wu. Even sovereign martial emperors feared him because he comprehended a saber domain. Chapter 1266. Senior Lan, I know my mistake. Please show mercy and give me a chance. As the goateed old man looked at the vast and boundless island of lightning, he immediately panicked. He was only a second heaven martial emperor, Emperor Wu. He had managed to fool Lan Xiaofeng by using a divine movement talisman. If the other party really wanted to fight, the goateed old man would not be a match for him at all. Furthermore, his astral energy was suppressed. Give you a chance? Did you give me a chance when you charged up the mountain? A cold snort resounded, and the thunder saber domain withdrew, compressing the entire space. The goateed old man, who was locked down in the saber domain, had nowhere to hide. Tens of thousands of electric saber lights pierced through him. At the same time, 5-colored starlight descended from the sky. Xiao Chen, who held the cycle banner and drove the 100 strands of primordial energy in his body, flew over. The saber lights seemed to recognize him, automatically opening a path for him. The starlight of massacre, despair, ruin, death, and grief merged on the banner tip. Pu Ci. The saber lights pierced the goateed old man's heart of an emperor. When Shao Chun drove the cycle banner with 5 strands of primordial energy, he had been somewhat strained. Now, not only was it easy, but the starlight driven by the 100 strands of primordial energy was also several times mightier. The goateed old man vomited a mouthful of blood and looked at Shao Chun in shock. "It's your saber domain." "That's right. Unfortunately, you are already a dead man." Shao Chun expressionlessly put away the banner. With a thought, the thunder saber domain turned into 100 strands of electric light and returned to his forehead. Wounds covered the goateed old man's body, flickering with electric light. Saber intent lingered in the wounds, preventing Emperor Wu's golden body from healing them quickly. However, even if all the wounds were added together, they could not compare to the wound at the goateed old man's dantian. That was a black hole, and the old man's heart of an emperor had already vanished. Pu-ci. 2 flaming golden saber lights crossed each other and instantly chopped off the goateed old man's head, killing him. The one who made the move was naturally Ao Jiao, who was wearing a golden armor. She looked like a god of war, and her body emitted endless pressure. Shao Chun felt somewhat confused. Since when had Ao Jiao become so strong? Just as he was about to say something, he discovered that the golden feathers on Ao Jiao's body were slowly falling off. A moment later, the feathers converged and burned into a ball of flame. When the flame dissipated, a pure white egg appeared in front of Shao Chun. Shao Chun recognized it at a glance. Wasn't this the golden crow egg that little yellow feather hatched from? What had happened while he was fighting the evil spirit? How did little yellow feather end up like this? Ao Jiao carefully put away the golden crow egg. She looked at Shao Chun and said, "Don't worry too much. Little yellow feather used the life of the golden crow race as a sacrifice. When the solar divine flame hatches, it will undergo another nirvanic rebirth." Shao Chun knew that it would not be that simple. After some thought he asked, "How many years?" "If little yellow feather cannot find the legendary solar divine flame, it will need 500 years before it can be reborn." The solar divine flame was a legend in the Kunlun realm. No one had ever seen it before. That was to say, Shao Chun was certain that little yellow feather would only appear after another 500 years. 500 years. Shao Chun's heart suddenly felt heavy. 500 years was a very long time. Little yellow feather had been sleeping in the sky dome realm for tens of thousands of years. It had only been a few years since it reappeared, yet it had to sleep for another 500 years. Shao Chun truly owed little yellow feather too much. Ao Jiao consoled him, "It's fine. Even without this experience, little yellow feather will undergo a nirvanic rebirth. This is a tribulation that the king of the golden crow race has to endure. It only sleeps. When it wakes up, it can still see us. Nothing has changed. Come, let's go down." "Right." Ao Jiao hugged the golden crow egg and returned to the immortal spirit ring. A murderous intent flashed in Shao Chun's eyes. He pushed off the ground and turned into a beam of purple electric light, rushing down the mountain at lightning speed. At the foot of the mountain, the number of Emperor Wu gathered had increased from the original 4 to 9. However, when they saw the cold expression on Lan Chaofeng's face, none of them dared to take a step forward. 2 people lay on the ground, trying to sneak up. In the end, Lan Chaofeng dealt a heavy blow to them, injuring their hearts of an emperor and causing them to fall to the ground, unable to get up. What's going on? Earlier, the demonic qi was overwhelming. Now there is no demonic qi at all. The 5 beams of starlight earlier were clearly a martial technique of the astral palace. It is very likely that the Elder of the Zodiac Hall used a killing move to severely injure the Blue Dragon King when he entered a state of demonic qi. That is to say, the Blue Dragon King is already dead? That is most likely the case. However, it is really hard to say now. Whether he is dead or not, we have to go up and confirm it. The Elder of the Astral Palace must have left by now, leaving this troublesome place. The martial emperor elders from the divine dragon palaces of the four seas, the five poison sect, and the heavenly province academy discussed in soft voices. Their expressions were very complicated. This was a rare major event. The attention-grabbing Blue Dragon King, Shao Chen, actually entered a state of berserking qi deviation, taking one step into the demonic Tao. This was simply an opportunity bestowed to them by the heavens. Unfortunately, Lan Chaofeng blocked this place, suppressing everyone's desire and preventing them from using it. Lan Chaofeng's expression turned uncertain. Even now, he did not know what the situation at the summit was like. The natural laws there were in chaos. After an intense battle, mental energy would not be able to detect anything. However, the demonic qi was gone, and an astral palace martial technique appeared. All these signs pointed to an extremely bad situation for Shao Chen. Whoosh! At this moment, a bolt of purple lightning shot down from the peak of the towering mountain. With a crisp sound, the white-clad Shao Chen landed in front of Lan Chaofeng. Shao Chen's long hair fluttered in the wind, looking very elegant. He did not look injured at all. Shao Chen's eyes were as calm as still water, not showing any signs of entering a state of berserking qi deviation. Didn't you enter a state of berserking qi deviation? The old man from the Five Poisons sect asked in shock. The other Emperor Wu elders also showed shock on their faces. They could not accept this fact at all, feeling somewhat stupefied. How could this be? Not only did Shao Chen not die, but he also did not enter a state of berserking qi deviation. Furthermore, he did not seem injured at all. Lan Chaofeng smiled and said, "Little fellow, you finally came out. This old man did not block so many clowns for you in vain. What else do you have to say? Blue Dragon King Shao Chen is here all fine and dandy. Who was the one who wanted to slay the demon?" Shao Chen thought for a while and guessed what was going on. He smiled and said, "Seniors, the demon that you want to slay, is it me?" The Five Poison sect elder who shouted the loudest smiled abashedly and said, "How could that be? We only saw the demonic qi rushing into the clouds here, and worried that the Blue Dragon King was in danger, so we came to take a look." That's right. Earlier, the demonic qi rushing into the clouds covered the entire Heavenly Star Island. Could it be that we came to take a look? Little Yellow Feather fell back into a deep slumber, causing Shao Chen's killing qi to linger. He said rudely to this group of Holy Land elders who harbored evil intentions, "Naturally, there is no harm in taking a look. Now that we have seen enough, why don't we scram?" "What did you say?" Hearing Shao Chen's rudeness, the few Emperor Wu elders all raged. If Lan Chaofeng had told them to scram, it would have been fine. After all, Lan Chaofeng was terrifyingly strong. However, Shao Chen was a great perfection blue-robed emperor. Unexpectedly, he dared to be so rude to them. No matter what, they could not accept this. Shao Chen narrowed his eyes and smiled. "Am I not clear enough? When I call for you, scram immediately. This is my private cultivation ground. You are not welcome here." Lan Chaofeng, who was at the side, felt startled. Shao Chen's killing qi was very dense. The sharpness hidden in the killing qi was as sharp as a saber. What exactly happened at the summit? However, it was fortunate that this killing qi was rather pure. There was no berserk, bloodthirsty, or any other attribute mixed in. Now, Shao Chen had indeed recovered his clarity. "Haha! I heard that after some people entered a state of berserk qi deviation and entered the deep abyss, they knew how to hide. They looked no different from ordinary people on the surface. However, in reality, their hearts had already changed, losing their original heart. Such demons are even more sinister and vicious." The black-clad old man from the Five Poisons sect smiled coldly as he spoke in an indifferent tone. The other Emperor Wu thought about it and understood. This was an elder of the Five Poisons sect. He could not stand Shao Chen's tone and wanted to teach him a lesson, so he found a random excuse. The smile on Shao Chen's face did not diminish. He said indifferently, You are really full of nonsense. Did you not hear me telling you to scram? How many more times do you need me to repeat myself? How pig-headed! Right after Xiao Chen spoke, he withdrew his smile. Then, the electric dragon under his feet burst forth, and he arrived before the black-clad old man like he teleported. Without even thinking, Xiao Chen instantly executed the sharp spirit finger. The tip of Xiao Chen's finger shot out, and a clump of flickering electric light covered all the surrounding light. In the time it took for a spark to fly, before the others could understand what happened, there was a loud bang, and the black-clad old man went flying. A bowl-sized hole appeared in the black-clad old man's chest. Blood flowed endlessly. All of you, scram. Don't stay here and join in the fun, Lan Xiaofeng said. Lan Xiaofeng said. He feared that Xiao Chen would be tainted by killing Qi after clearing his heart demon. After flipping over, the 5 poison sect elder, who was preparing to fight with Xiao Chen, vomited a mouthful of blood when he heard Lan Xiaofeng's words. As the black-clad old man looked at Xiao Chen, he said coldly, "Don't think that you can defeat Emperor Wu just because you comprehended the sharp spirit finger. Today, on account of Senior Lan, I will not lower myself to your level." Xiao Chen smiled coldly in his heart. He had not used his full power in this sharp spirit finger, and it could already injure this old man. To think that the other party dared to spout such nonsense. He was truly arrogant and ignorant. You are not convinced? I'll give you a chance 3 days from now. Let's have a fair fight at the Blue Dragon Plaza in Heaven Dragon City. We won't rest until one of us dies. Do you dare to accept? The black-clad old man, who was about to leave with Emperor Wu after saying those words, was stunned when he heard that. The black-clad old man turned around and smiled. Senior Lan, does his words count? Xiao Chen, you. Lan Xiaofeng said, trying to persuade Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen waved his hand and sent a voice projection, telling Lan Xiaofeng not to worry and that he had his own plans. 3 days from now, Xiao Chen could use this battle to announce the news of the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment to the world. This would be a good start to the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony. These people could not escape responsibility for Little Yellow Feather's misfortune. He had to leave one of them behind to pay the price, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Seeing Xiao Chen agree, the black-clad old man laughed maniacally. You probably do not know how valuable your head is. Since you want to send yourself to death, I'll fulfill your wish. 3 days from now, I will come to collect your head. Chapter 1267. The martial emperors of the Heavenly Province Academy, the divine dragon palaces of the 4 seas, and the ancient noble clans all looked at Xiao Chen in disbelief. Xiao Chen had relied on his sudden attack and the sharp spirit finger to send the black-clad old man flying earlier. Furthermore, based on the might of Xiao Chen's sharp spirit finger, it was not very profound. If it were the complete version of the sharp spirit finger, the black-clad old man would not even be able to stand up. There was only one possibility. Xiao Chen had not practiced the sharp spirit finger to perfection, only reaching small perfection. Xiao Chen wanted to challenge Emperor Wu with his half-baked sharp spirit finger as a consummation blue-robed emperor? That was no different from a fool's dream. Ha! The Blue Dragon King truly lives up to his reputation as the Blue Dragon King. We will definitely come and watch 3 days from now. The Emperor Wu's left one after another, their loud laughter filled with disdain. After the other Emperor Wu's left, Lan Xiaofeng's face immediately sank. Little fellow, are you crazy? Xiao Chen raised his head and asked, Why do you say that? Lan Xiaofeng replied solemnly, I do not deny that you can hold your own against Emperor Wu right now. However, that is just that. If you really want to fight to the death, given Emperor Wu's golden body and the strength of his primordial energy, you will definitely die if this drags on. The sharp spirit finger is indeed fearsome when used to deal a fatal blow. However, in a true battle to the death, the other party will not give you a chance to deal a fatal blow. The moment you use the sharp spirit finger will be the moment of your death. When Shao Chun heard this stern reprimand, he did not feel any repulsion. He could still hear the concern in Lan Xiaofeng's words. Smiling faintly, Shao Chun said, "This junior would like to exchange pointers with senior. Are you sure about exchanging pointers with me?" Lan Xiaofeng asked. Shao Chun nodded. "I'm sure." Lan Xiaofeng thought of something. He smiled and said, "Very well, I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. Do your best. I will suppress my strength to that of a first heaven layer Emperor Wu and have a proper exchange with you. If you can defeat me, I will allow you to go up 3 days later." After saying that, Lan Xiaofeng extended his right finger and tapped his chest a few times, using a secret technique to suppress his cultivation. And from the looks of it, it was impossible for him to recover in a short period of time. This somewhat confused Shao Chun. In his eyes, Lan Xiaofeng was now a genuine First Heaven Emperor Wu. If not for knowing Lan Xiaofeng's true strength, Shao Chun would have fallen for the other party's tricks. When Lan Xiaofeng saw Shao Chun's curiosity, he explained with a smile, "In the past, I had some small tricks as an assassin. Sometimes I had to lower my strength before I could perfectly conceal myself. Once I execute this secret technique, I will have to wait at least half a day before I can recover my strength. So, you can exchange moves with me without worry." Shao Chun smiled and said, "Senior seems to be very confident. Using only a first heaven layer, you will not be able to block me." When Lan Xiaofeng heard that, he was stunned. Then, he laughed loudly and said, "You are worried about me? Worry about yourself, then. To put it bluntly, I feel that a first heaven layer Emperor Wu is a little too much." "Very well. In that case, sorry for the offense." Shao Chun smiled faintly and performed a cupped fist salute. The instant he raised his head, he stretched out his hand and hacked down with his saber. In that instant, an electric light tore through the air. Shao Chun drove all 100 strands of primordial energy in his body and gathered them on his saber. The pure white lunar shadow saber flickered with light as it casually chopped down. Everywhere it passed, black tears appeared in space. The strong primordial energy surged in Shao Chun's body, driving the surrounding power of the world to form 100 roaming dragons dancing around wildly. This caused the world to change. Space twisted, and the different scenes in the surroundings spun quickly. Lan Xiaofeng goggled, not daring to believe the scene before him. He smiled helplessly and said, "Little fellow, you were so quiet. It turns out that you were hiding such a great trump card. You made this old man worry for so long. You nearly tricked me as well. However, this little bit of skill is not enough to shake me." Shao Chun brandished the dagger in his hand, and strands of primordial energy leaped about. 100 formless roaming dragons appeared behind Lan Xiaofeng as well, causing space to twist and the surrounding scenery to change unpredictably. Dang! Lan Xiaofeng casually swung the dagger and blocked Shao Chun's lightning-fast saber strike. The instant the weapons clashed, the world spun around and space twisted. When Emortal and the others rushed over, all they saw was a distorted scene. In that scene, Shao Chun's and Lan Xiaofeng's figures were stretched infinitely, impossible to see clearly. After the group focused all their mental energy into their eyes, they finally managed to peer through the layers of distorted space and see a clear image. In the air, Shao Chun actually used his flawless saber technique to fight evenly with Lan Xiaofeng in close combat. Lan Xiaofeng's 2 disciples, Lan Xiaobai and Lan Tianji, were stunned when they saw this. To think that Master does not hold an advantage in close combat. Master has always said that even sovereign martial emperors do not dare to get within 3 centimeters of him. This time, he really met his match. Although the group was shocked, their earlier worries were already swept away. Right now, it was clear that Lan Xiaofeng and Shao Chun were exchanging pointers and not a battle to the death. This meant that Shao Chun had already walked out of it and cleared his heart demon. Whoosh! Suddenly, everyone felt an extremely strong might and pressure, forcing them back 100 meters uncontrollably. They felt as if a rock was pressing down on their chests. The two were originally evenly matched in the air. Suddenly, Lan Xiaofeng was forced out. Many treasured sabers flickering with electricity buzzed endlessly around Xiao Chen. With a thought, Xiao Chen could form a saber. Saber domain. These two words appeared in the minds of Mo Chen and the others at the same time. Xiao Chen comprehended a saber domain. In the Emperor Wu realm, experts who could comprehend a domain were rare. However, Xiao Chen, a consummation blue-robed emperor, actually comprehended his own saber domain. Sharp spirit finger. Xiao Chen, who had used the saber domain to create an opportunity, quickly executed his killing move. This time, he used the sharp spirit finger at full power, not holding back at all. 9 electric whirlpools gathered in Xiao Chen's chest. With a thought, they gathered at his fingertips. Boom! A terrifying explosion rang out, causing the entire space to shake violently. Everyone nearby felt an intense pain in their eardrums. Xiao Chen's timing was very ruthless. It happened to be the instant Lan Xiaofeng was caught off guard and sent flying by his thunder saber domain. Lan Xiaofeng had no time to dodge this finger strike. He could only take it head-on. Electric light burst out, and Lan Xiaofeng's clothes were blasted to shreds. His skin was charred all over, and his hair stood on end, flickering with lingering electric light and giving off black smoke. After the fallen Lan Xiaofeng stood up, he looked like a refugee fleeing for his life. He no longer had the air of an expert or senior. Master, are you all right? Lan Xiaobai and Lan Xiaofeng asked as they walked over to support Lan Xiaofeng, pinching their noses. Lan Xiaofeng angrily flung the two away. His face was already charred from the explosion, making it impossible to make out any expression. He snorted coldly and said, "You are really ruthless. If not for my Emperor Wu golden body already reaching the 6th heaven, you would have taken my old life." It could be seen that the skin on Lan Xiaofeng's body was rapidly growing back. Lan Xiaofeng waved his hand and looked coldly at Xiao Chen before turning to leave. After Lan Xiaofeng left, Lan Xiaofeng and Lan Xiaobai could no longer hold back their laughter. Xiao Chen landed and said somewhat embarrassedly, "Xiaobai, was I too ruthless?" Lan Xiaobai could not stop laughing. It's fine. This master of mine loves to brag. In the past, when he taught us, he always suppressed his cultivation to the same level as ours, beating us up miserably. This time, you have taken revenge for us." Xiao Chen felt embarrassed in his heart. He said, "However, Senior seems to be angry." Lan Xiaofeng guffawed and said, "How can I not be angry? You blew your own trumpet and you even turned black. Don't say anything. Let me laugh for a while more. Ha!" However, suddenly, Lan Xiaofeng discovered that Xiao Chen was continuously signaling him with his eyes. Lan Xiaobai also recovered his serious appearance. A bad feeling spread in Lan Xiaofeng's heart. When he turned his head back, he happened to see Lan Xiaofeng, who had already changed his attire. He said awkwardly, "Master, I absolutely did not mean to laugh at you. Lan Xiaofeng interrupted him. "I understand. You just missed the way I taught you in the past. Starting tomorrow, I will undergo special training for a month." "Don't, Master!" Lan Xiaofeng wailed. Lan Xiaofeng sized up Xiao Chen again, causing Xiao Chen to feel nervous for some reason. This time, he had really gone overboard. "Little fellow, you really comprehended a saber domain. Come with me," Lan Xiaofeng said with a straight face as he walked forward. Such a stance made Xiao Chen feel even more nervous. Along the way, Lan Xiaofeng did not say a word. This made Xiao Chen feel even more unfathomable. Just like that, after walking for about an hour, the two arrived at an even more desolate mountain peak. Xiao Chen knew that this was where Lan Xiaofeng usually cultivated. This old man liked peace and quiet. Lan Xiaofeng turned around and looked at Xiao Chen. Then, he circled around Xiao Chen and said with a smile, "Brat, you are really good. Since this old man became famous, I have never embarrassed myself like this. Xiao Chen smiled awkwardly and said, I don't dare. Senior is too serious. Lan Xiaofeng said with a sullen expression, You don't dare? What else do you not dare to do? Even if it is for the upcoming Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony, there is no need for you to work so hard and refine more than 3 peak-grade demon fiend rocks at the same time. Tell me, how many did you refine? Lan Xiaofeng's stare made Xiao Chen feel somewhat guilty. He whispered, 7. 7. Lan Xiaofeng cried out hoarsely, his eyes wide open. What should I say to you? Never mind. Perhaps I don't understand the pressure you are under. 7 peak-grade demon fiend rock. No wonder you could comprehend your own domain. Although Lan Xiaofeng's words were stern, Xiao Chen could still sense the concern hidden in them. So, he did not dare to rebut. Back then, I was like you, thinking that I could undergo 3 sovereign tribulations and reach Prime in one go. In the end, I ended up in such a state. When Lan Xiaofeng recalled the past, he revealed a rare sadness in his eyes. Undergoing 3 sovereign tribulations in a row? That works too? Xiao Chen looked at Lan Xiaofeng with some surprise. Unexpectedly, this old man had such a past. Chapter 1268. Lan Xiaofeng explained, Don't find it strange. The Ying Zongtian you know underwent 3 sovereign tribulations in a row, gaining the strength to fight with primes. Back then, the Thunder King was the same. However, my baleful aura is too heavy and I overestimated my strength. Xiao Chen said quickly, Senior, don't worry. In the future, when this junior really becomes a martial emperor, I will definitely help you search for divine herbs that can extend your lifespan. Lan Xiaofeng smiled and said, It's good that you have the intention. There is no need for you to worry about this. I know my own matters the best. I called you here for another reason. What is it? Show me your saber domain. Although Xiao Chen did not know what the other party was planning, he still did as he was told. Senior, please move back a little. Boom! With a thought, thousands of saber lights shot out of Xiao Chen's body. The sabers flickered with electricity, buzzing endlessly. Strong saber intents gathered together. Wherever the saber pointed, a sharp aura seemed to be able to pierce through space. If it were a weak person standing in front of Xiao Chen, this sharp aura would have pierced thousands of holes into them. Xiao Chen, who was in the saber domain, was like a sovereign king. Everywhere he looked frightening, giving off a trace of the grace of a saber sovereign. That's it? Lan Xiaofeng, who was in the air, smiled coldly and took a step forward. Kaxie! Kaxie! The sabers in Xiao Chen's saber domain all shattered, turning into electricity and disappearing. This startled Xiao Chen. How can it be like this? It looked like the saber domain was about to crumble. The mental energy in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness surged continuously, turning into many sabers that shot out from his body, maintaining the saber domain from crumbling. However, this was still not enough. Every time a saber appeared in Xiao Chen's body, it would immediately shatter. In the end, the speed at which the saber domain formed could not keep up with the speed at which it shattered. When the saber domain completely crumbled, Xiao Chen vomited a mouthful of blood and took 3 steps back, feeling dizzy. Suddenly, a fine drizzle fell from the sky. Lan Xiaofeng walked over step by step in the rain. The curtain of rain blurred Xiao Chen's vision. He could not see clearly whether it was a person or a saber that was walking over. He reached out his hand to wipe his face, but to his surprise, he discovered that his hand was covered in blood. Only now did he realize that his entire body was covered in cuts and bruises. Every drop of rain that fell from the sky contained a boundless saber intent. Every drop of water was a murderous saber. The dagger spun around Lan Xiaofeng's fingers, and the rain stopped. Coincidentally, Lan Xiaofeng walked over to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was startled. Whose saber domain is this? A dagger was a short saber. Strictly speaking, A domain comprehended with a dagger could naturally be considered a saber domain. You are not stupid. This is indeed my saber domain. But why? You want to ask why I didn't use it when I fought you, right? Little fellow, your timing was so accurate. If I really tried to use it, I would have to fully open my saber domain, and you would die on the spot. Xiao Chen felt shocked. To think that a saber domain could be used like that. This was truly an eye-opener. Your saber domain cannot even be considered a basic saber domain. It is very rough and full of openings. Even if I did not comprehend a saber domain, I have hundreds of ways to break it for you. Xiao Chen suddenly startled awake. Why was Lan Xiaofeng looking for him? He quickly bowed and performed a cupped fist salute. Senior, please guide me. Lan Xiaofeng smiled without saying anything. He did not rush to agree to Xiao Chen's request. Instead, he asked, I can teach you, but you have to tell me what other trump cards you have. Xiao Chen smiled embarrassedly and said, honestly speaking, this junior still has an emperor-grade secret treasure. That 5-colored starlight that fell from the sky earlier was actually the peak strike of this junior's secret treasure. Lan Xiaofeng felt slightly stunned. Then, he scolded jokingly, Brat, you indeed still have more trump cards. 100 strands of primordial energy, the initial Thunder Saber domain, and an Emperor-grade secret treasure. You tricked that old man from the 5 poison sect. Ha 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 ha. Suddenly, Lan Xiaofeng's laughter stopped. Then, he changed the topic. However, it is fine if you tricked him. Why did you trick this old man as well? Lan Xiaofeng was temperamental, his emotions changing unpredictably. Xiao Chen found him somewhat unfathomable, not daring to reply. Brat, you are really black-hearted. However, you still have some comprehension ability. I'll teach you a move or two then. Let me ask you first, what is a saber domain? If you do not answer well, I will not teach you, Lan Xiaofeng said. Xiao Chen felt helpless in his heart. Back then, you were the one who said that I could do whatever I wanted. However, Xiao Chen could only say this in his heart. Right now, he had to think of how to answer Senior Lan's question. What was a saber domain? Initially, when a bladesman comprehended saber intent, it was just a form of intent. One could feel it but not grasp it, unable to see it clearly. After it advanced to a saber soul, it became tangible, something that could be clearly seen in the sea of consciousness. However, after it advanced to a saber domain, it became formless again, even more ethereal. It was like it had become a hazy state. One could not see it, touch it, or feel it. However, one could sense its existence just by looking at it. With a thought, the saber domain would immediately form, and that aura would burst forth from one's body. However, what exactly was a saber domain? Xiao Chen really could not say. After thinking for a long time, he still could not describe it. Lan Xiaofeng looked at the frowning Xiao Chen and revealed a mocking smile, waiting for Xiao Chen's answer. I don't know. After a moment of silence, Xiao Chen answered honestly, unable to answer. Lan Xiaofeng appeared stunned. Then, he smiled and said, You are really a brat. You are very honest. If you give a long speech now, thinking yourself infallible, I will definitely turn around and leave. What I want is for you to not know. Xiao Chen felt somewhat stunned. That works too? Is that for real? Senior, don't lie to me. Lan Xiaofeng smiled and said, Why would I lie to you? Something like a saber domain is ethereal and formless. Even I cannot explain it clearly. If you can explain it so clearly and logically, I really don't know how to teach you. When Xiao Chen heard that, he entered deep thought. Lan Xiaofeng's words made him feel enlightened. The Thunder Saber domain is not for you to play around with. You are like a hedgehog, wrapping yourself up in it. I'll first teach you how to go from power to subtlety. How much you can comprehend will depend on your own ability. Although Lan Xiaofeng said that, his gaze as he looked at Xiao Chen clearly brimmed with anticipation. Perhaps he saw a shadow of himself in Xiao Chen, and he didn't want this young man to end up like him. From force to subtlety? Xiao Chen asked in confusion. Lan Xiaofeng nodded and said, "That's right. Right now, your grasp of the Thunder Saber domain is still at the level of power. What is subtlety? Simply put, it is when others cannot see your saber but can clearly feel your saber domain. For example, my upper water saber domain. With a thought, the drizzle falls silently. Even though the saber light cannot be seen, the saber is everywhere." Xiao Chen immediately understood. That is to say, my thunder saber domain has to hide the saber light in the lightning. That's right. That is the direction. However, it is not as simple as you say. What you need to do is to merge your entire power into space. It is not as simple as hiding the saber light in the lightning. Instead, you need to hide your power in this entire space. With a thought, lightning and electric light will come out. Saber intent filling the air is everywhere and can be used by you. Lightning and electric light came out. Saber intent filling the air was everywhere. Xiao Chen felt like he was enlightened. His entire being became enlightened. Lan Xiaofeng had opened a door for him that he had never seen before. I'll show you the difference. Lan Xiaofeng stretched out a finger and tapped Xiao Chen's forehead. Instantly, many scenes flickered, forming a coherent image that appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. In the scene, Lan Xiaofeng hovered in the air. His long hair fluttered about and strong winds howled. Many short sabers with cold light floated beside him. Lan Xiaofeng's body exuded a boundless aura. His entire being seemed to merge with the saber domain around him. Everywhere he looked, Xiao Chen's mind trembled. That aura was too sharp. How strong! This saber domain pushed Lan Xiaofeng's aura to its limit. Xiao Chen asked himself if he would concede defeat on the spot. However, he kept feeling that something was off. Although this aura was strong, it was not as shocking as the scene of Lan Xiaofeng walking over step by step in the rain. I understand now. Senior is directly telling me the difference between before and after entering refinement. Indeed, I have to make a comparison before I can see the difference. The scene continued to change. Lan Xiaofeng started fighting continuously. Xiao Chen watched carefully, not wanting to miss a single detail. Before entering refinement, Lan Xiaofeng had won every battle, chopping off his opponent's head. However, he always had wounds of various sizes on his body. That saber domain looked terrifyingly powerful, but his opponent would always have a chance to break it and injure Senior Lan. After entering refinement, Lan Xiaofeng won every battle. However, Senior Lan never got injured again. The saber intent filling the air was truly everywhere. Do you understand now? Lan Xiaofeng asked as he withdrew his hand. Xiao Chen nodded. I don't fully understand, but I understand what Senior is trying to say. You only have strength, but you can't completely grasp it. You will always be found by your opponent. Only by being omnipresent and pervasive can we strike fear into our opponent's heart. That's right, saber domain, saber domain. The emphasis is not on the word saber, but on the word domain behind it. Inspiration flashed in Xiao Chen's mind. Senior, does that mean that in the future, cultivating the saber domain will transfer to the state of space? Lan Xiaofeng revealed a gratified smile in his eyes. Just a hint and you understand. However, this is not something you can touch on right now. The state of space is broad and profound. Minor Heavenly Emperor Wu can only scratch the surface of it. Greater Heavenly Emperor Wu can only gain some understanding of it. Only sovereign martial emperors can reach small perfection. The peak sovereign martial emperors of the Kunlun realm are all people with high attainments in the state of space. However, there is no need for you to think so much now. Just focus on comprehending from power to subtlety. Continue watching. I will demonstrate my state of water to you again. As Lan Xiaofeng taught Xiao Chen, Lan Xiaobai and Imochen did not remain idle, either. They were anxiously making arrangements for the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony in secret. The time was already set. All that was left was for Shao Chun to decide, and he could announce it to the world. On the other side, the news of Shao Chun starting a life-and-death battle with the 5 poison sects martial Emperor Elder 3 days later instantly spread throughout the entire Western Sea. After that, it quickly spread through the heavenly starry ocean and reached the Kunlun continent. Chapter 1269. In less than a day, all the upper echelon of the peak factions of the Kunlun realm received this news. In the circle of martial emperors, this piece of news caused a huge commotion. Almost every martial emperor who met would talk about this news at the same time. Emperor Wu had always been aloof. No matter how strong cultivators who had not advanced to martial emperor were, they were like ants in Emperor Wu's eyes. Such a situation had persisted for many years. However, now, a consummation blue-robed emperor was going to challenge someone who had been a martial emperor for many years. This was simply too shocking. If an ordinary person did this, everyone would just treat it as a joke and not care. However, this challenger was the Blue Dragon King, Shao Chun, a youth who had created many miracles. Before he advanced to martial emperor, everyone in Emperor Wu's circle knew about him. The weight of this challenge was too great, so much so that Emperor Wu had to pay special attention to it. There was no other reason than the challenger's name. In a mountain manor in Heaven Dragon City, the few Emperor Wus who went to slay demons gathered together. Old Bai, your challenge this time kicked up a storm in our entire Emperor Wu's circle. How confident are you? An old man from the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace asked. Right now, the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace had the greatest conflict with Shao Chun. Naturally, they paid the most attention to this battle. As long as Shao Chun died, the hearts of Heavenly Star Island's people would naturally die as well. The 5 poison sects Old Bai smiled and said, I do not dare to say that I am completely confident, but I have a 99% chance. I have already been a martial emperor for 500 years. As long as we can drag this out for 2 hours, he will not stand a chance at all. The cultivation techniques and martial techniques of my 5 poison sect will make him beg for death. However, that Shao Chun's sharp spirit finger is rather horrifying. Old Bai, you should be careful, an old man from an ancient noble clan said calmly. A hint of fear flashed in Old Bai's eyes. Of course, but it's not a trump card anymore. His telepathic finger hasn't been trained to perfection. I'll be able to deal with him if I'm careful. Besides, it's not like I'm completely unprepared. What preparations? The others asked curiously. The power of the telepathic finger was boundlessly ferocious. Could it be that Elder Bai already had a way to deal with it? Old Bai smiled mysteriously. There is still one more day. You will know when the time comes. I can only say that a major character of the Kunlun continent's deity race sent a clone here last night and came into contact with me alone. Emperor Forsaken. The others gasped in surprise. Emperor Forsaken was a big shot second only to the Thunder King, yet he was personally participating in this duel. Elder Bai neither denied nor admitted it. He said coldly, in short, this brat will die after tomorrow. The resources exchanged for his head will definitely be enough for me to pass the second heavenly tribulation. Envious expressions flashed in the eyes of the other Emperor Wus. Shao Chun's head was really valuable. Normally, no one dared to touch him. However, this time, he was the one who challenged them. In a battle to the death, if he killed Shao Chun, there would be no need to worry about the Thunder King's revenge. Shao Chun only had himself to blame. The few Emperor Wu's people started to congratulate Shao Chun in advance. After the Qing Emperor, Shao Chun was a thorn in many people's sides. If Shao Chun died, it would not be just the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace, but the many holy masters of the heavenly starry ocean who would be grinning from ear to ear. Elder Bai's smile widened, his eyes filled with satisfaction. He was just waiting to kill Shao Chun when the time came. At the summit of the desolate mountain, heavy clouds churned in the sky for a kilometer around Shao Chun. Thunder rumbled in the clouds. Although one could hear it, one could not see it. All the light within 1,000 meters seemed to have gathered on a single person. That was a white figure. His figure did not look very majestic. His delicate face did not give off a very tyrannical feeling. However, when he stood at the summit, he was very eye-catching. Even without doing anything, he could instantly attract everyone's attention. Be it the tall mountain under one's feet, the clouds in the sky, or the rumbling thunder, everything would vanish. When you step into this 1,000-year area, everything will disappear. All you will see is this faintly discernible white figure, who has gathered all the light in this world. Shao Chen watched all this with satisfaction. His lips curled up in a satisfied smile. After 3 days of Lan Chaofeng's guidance, Shao Chen finally understood what going from momentum to subtlety was. Simply put, going from momentum to subtlety was hiding the originally vast aura in all the unknown details of the entire space. Unfortunately, 3 days was too short. Shao Chen could not comprehend much and could not achieve Lan Chaofeng's silent drizzle. Silent and in harmony with the sky, there were no openings, no weakness to exploit. If Shao Chen improved further, he could even hide the thunder and make the heavy clouds vanish. With a thought, the area within 1 kilometer became his domain. Lightning moved as Shao Chen willed. The saber intent filling the air was everywhere. However, this was fine. Shao Chen was already very satisfied with his improvement in 3 days. Suddenly, Shao Chen narrowed his eyes, and a murderous intent surged out. He moved 1 kilometer in 1 step and swung his saber. He discovered that with this step, the thunderclouds in the sky silently moved 1 kilometer. However, it was still centered around Shao Chen. It was like nothing had changed. The only thing that changed was the hidden saber intent. When Shao Chen swung his saber, all the rocks, withered grass, and tree branches within 1 kilometer burst out with a startling saber intent. The saber intent filling the air was everywhere, making one feel that there was nowhere to hide within 1 kilometer. It was like everything was his enemy, the entire world rejecting him. All this was because Shao Chen drew his saber. By the time Shao Chen sheathed his saber, the saber intent filling the air instantly vanished, turning into nothing. The earlier scene was like an illusion, never having happened. Not bad. You have already reached the initial step of going from power to subtlety. The area within 1 kilometer is your world. No matter what kind of domain, be it the saber domain, the sword domain, the water domain, or the fire domain, the focus is on the last domain. Shao Chen scattered his saber domain and the thunderclouds vanished. Then, he said humbly, "It is still not enough. Compared to Senior, I am far from it." Lan Chaofeng smiled and said, "At least you are aware of your limitations. However, I have nothing else to teach you. You have already grasped the basics. You just need to slowly comprehend it." "Senior, I have a question." "Speak," Lan Chaofeng said straightforwardly. After some thought, Shao Chen said, "I want to know how to fight with an opponent of the same domain and find their weakness. For example, how should I break Senior's superior water saber domain?" When Lan Chaofeng heard that, he laughed loudly. "What a brat! You are really bold, daring to ask anything. Have you heard of the saying, teaching the disciple to starve to death? Right now, you are not trying to starve me to death. You are clearly trying to force me to death." Shao Chen smiled and did not say anything. Now, he more or less understood Lan Chaofeng's temper. This old man had a strange temper, but he was definitely not the kind of person who haggled over minor matters. Indeed, after Lan Chaofeng finished laughing, he said, "Don't overthink. There is no trick to this. You feel that my superior water saber domain is not easy to deal with, but I also feel that your thunder saber domain is not easy to deal with. The one who goes further and comprehends it more thoroughly will have the advantage in battle. Are you satisfied with my answer?" Shao Chen thought about it for a while before commenting, "Not really. However, one day I will find the weakness of your domain. There is no such thing as nothing without a weakness. Lan Xiaofeng glared at Xiao Chen and said, "You really dare to brag? In the entire Kunlun realm, even the Prime, the Thunder King, would not dare to say something like that." Xiao Chen smiled faintly and did not refute Lan Xiaofeng's words. The reason he said this was related to his flawless saber Dao. The flawless Dao never believed that there was anything truly perfect and flawless in the world. If Xiao Chen did not even have this bit of skepticism, then his Dao would instantly crumble. His perseverance as a bladesman would crumble, and he would lose his heart. Whoosh! The sound of wind came from the foot of the mountain. That was the sound of someone rushing over at an extremely fast speed, giving off sonic booms. Xiao Chen and Lan Xiaofeng did not turn their heads back. They each sensed for a while and knew that Lan Xiaobai had arrived. "Xiaobai is here. Your battle with that old man should be starting soon. The Five Poison Sect is famous for its poison attack. However, at Emperor Wu's level, he has cultivated the golden body. There are very few poisons in the world that can threaten Emperor Wu. However, you do not have the golden body yet. So, you have to end this battle quickly. It would be best if you finish off your opponent within 1 hour." Lan Xiaofeng was still very concerned about Xiao Chen. He gave Xiao Chen a detailed explanation of the upcoming battle and some things that he needed to take note of. As long as you end the battle within 1 hour, even if you are poisoned, it will not affect the battle. Xiao Chen memorized everything. Then, he performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Many thanks, Senior." Lan Xiaofeng waved his hand and his figure slowly vanished. "I will not see Xiaobai. This fellow is very crafty now. Previously, he mocked me even more than Tianqi did." Right after Lan Xiaofeng left, Lan Xiaobai landed with the wind. He asked doubtfully, "Where's Master? I seem to have seen him earlier." Xiao Chen smiled and said, "I have something to do, so I left first. Have you chosen the time?" "I have. It is on the 28th of this month." Xiao Chen calculated. Today was the 13th. That was to say, the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony would officially start half a month later. For the re-establishment ceremony, I referenced the re-establishment ceremonies of some ancient sections. Then, I made some changes based on the situation in Heaven Dragon City. As I said previously, the main event is to pay respects to the ancestors. Lan Xiaobai continued, "When Heaven Dragon City was first constructed, Emo Qin used the bodies of those Dragon's Gates war venerates to build a blue dragon tomb in the north of the city. That is where we will pay respects to the ancestors." Xiao Chen nodded, having no objections. Even after these Dragon's Gates war venerates died and turned into puppets, they still guarded the Dragon's Gate's treasure trove until they died. Xiao Chen continued to guard the Dragon's Gate's treasure trove, not resting until death. He, Xiao Chen, did 3 kowtows and 9 kowtows. Perhaps not all of these ancestors were of the Dragon's Gate's Xiao clan's direct line of descent. However, they were loyal and could not be erased. "Come then. Come with me to meet that old man from the Five Poison Sect. We have to announce the re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate to the world." Chapter 1270. Xiao Chen showed a calm expression as he spoke casually. There was no nervousness in his tone at all. No one could tell that Xiao Chen was a consummation blue-robed emperor challenging a bona fide Emperor Wu. It was like the person he wanted to kill was just a nobody, a dancing clown. Lan Xiaobai sighed in his heart. News of this battle had spread like wildfire, startling the entire heavenly starry ocean. However, the main character of this matter was actually this calm. Xiao Chen wondered what the Five Poison Sect's senior Bai would think when he learned that Xiao Chen wanted to sacrifice an emperor to his saber. The location of the decisive battle was set at the Blue Dragon Plaza. This was the only place in the entire Heaven Dragon City that had a dueling ground for Emperor Wu. As long as there was space for people to stand near the plaza, it was already occupied. Looking down from the sky, the place was densely packed with people, looking like ants. The Emperor-level dueling ground with formations was empty. No one had gone up yet. Senior Bai was surrounded by a group of Emperor Wu's old friends. He was not in a rush to go up. Due to his status, if Shao Chen did not come, he absolutely would not go up first. He would just stand there and wait like a fool. Whoosh! Suddenly, an intense commotion rang out in the plaza, shaking the entire place. Old Bai and the others shifted their gazes and looked at the entrance. Indeed, it was Shao Chen, accompanied by Lan Xiaobai, walking in slowly. Senior Bai, we will congratulate you in killing the Blue Dragon King with your own hands. Use this head to show the might of our heavenly starry oceans, Emperor Wu. That's right. For the past few centuries, us old fellows have rarely made a move in public. Senior Bai, don't let us down. Senior Bai smiled sinisterly. Don't worry. He will definitely die today. No one will be able to save him. Senior Bai tore space and landed on the arena. Then, he looked at the strolling Shao Chen and shouted coldly, Blue Dragon King, come up and receive your death. Elder Bai of the Five Poisons sect shouted coldly, causing the clamor in the plaza to die down. Shao Chen looked up and paused for a second. He ignored the conversation with Lan Xiaobai and walked toward the arena unhurriedly. Old Bai was stunned and his eyes burned with anger. Shao Chen had actually ignored him. Blue Dragon King, come and receive your death. Master Bai shouted again. This time, he used the power of his heaven-rank law. His voice was so loud that the entire Blue Dragon Square began to shake. The towering stone pillars and statues began to sway with this roar. Some of the weaker cultivators even felt their chi and blood surging, unable to hold back their words. There were even some who couldn't withstand the shout and directly coughed up blood. Emperor-level powerhouses are indeed unfathomable. If their strength were any lower, their voices would be enough to kill. This is really horrifying. I heard that this Five Poison Sects by Feng is Emperor Wu of the First Heaven of Still Water. It has been several hundred years since Emperor Wu made a move in the heavenly starry ocean. This time, Shao Chen is probably done for. Discussions broke out everywhere in the plaza. The Five Poison Sects by Feng's roar successfully showed everyone Emperor Wu's unfathomable strength. However, Shao Chen remained indifferent. He raised his head and glanced at Bai Feng before continuing to walk forward unhurriedly. The tense atmosphere immediately turned somewhat strange. One was furious, and the other was unhurried, completely ignoring the other party's challenge. Haha. Interesting. This Blue Dragon King is actually ignoring him. This is probably the first time someone has given the bona fide Emperor Wu the cold shoulder. What exactly is this Blue Dragon King planning? I heard that this time, the Blue Dragon King's head can be exchanged for a rank 8 sect. Isn't the Five Poison Sects elder by a little too excited? If it were me before Emperor Wu, this roar would scare me out of my wits. To think that Shao Chen did not react at all. As Emperor Wu, Bai Feng heard all these chatter very clearly. Every word they said made him feel extremely humiliated. As a martial emperor, when had he ever been ignored like this? Blue Dragon King, come and receive your death. Rage burned in Bai Feng's heart. This time, he roared, infusing his primordial energy into his voice. He was going all out. There was a thunderous, ear-splitting sound. The stone on the stone pillars and statues in the plaza all fell off. Cracks appeared on the ground. Several people's eardrums ruptured on the spot, causing intense pain. With such might from the shock waves, one could easily imagine how much pressure Shao Chen, who bore the brunt of it, endured. However, even so, Shao Chen remained calm and collected. He did not get angry at all, nor did he show any grave expression. After glancing at Elder Bai, Shao Chen turned his head back and said goodbye to Lan Xiaobai. Then, he headed for the arena alone, unhurriedly. Spatial formations from the Dragon's Gate's secret cannon covered the ground of the arena in the Blue Dragon Plaza, completely changing the spatial laws there. It was somewhat similar to the arena in the Four Seas Hero Gathering in Bright Moon City. However, it was of a higher level, able to endure a startling battle on the level of Emperor Wu. Up in the arena, Bai Feng's rage had already reached an unbearable level when Xiao Chun ignored his challenge 3 times. Bai Feng only had one thought in his mind. The instant Xiao Chun stepped into the arena, he would deal a fatal blow to show Xiao Chun the price of ignoring him. No one had ever dared to ignore him like this before. Xiao Chun walked over step by step and finally climbed onto the arena. After performing a cupped fist salute, he looked at Bai Feng. In his heart, Bai Feng was already a dead man. Let's see how confident you are. However, you ignored me again and again. Die. Bai Feng did not even bother exchanging any pleasantries with Xiao Chun. After Xiao Chun finished bowing, he roared ferociously and charged over. Venomous Dragon Claw. Bai Feng's figure flashed, and he turned into a venomous dragon. Black clouds filled the sky, immediately covering the sun. Then, he swung his claw. It was like a huge, ancient, evil dragon swung its claw down from the clouds. The huge dragon claw nearly covered half the arena. The dragon claw was pitch black. Not only was it horrifying, but it also contained poison. The moment this move was executed, it immediately incited startled cries. He truly lived up to his reputation as Emperor Wu. An inferior grade profound martial technique did not require any time to store up power. It could be executed as one wished, displaying a perfect and flawless state. Many people in the Blue Dragon Plaza knew an inferior grade profound martial technique similar to the venomous dragon claw. However, no one could execute it as easily as Bai Feng did and maintain a perfect state. Bai Feng perfectly merged the speed of his execution and the mysteries of his martial technique. However, the expressions of the cultivators who came with Bai Feng changed slightly. They did not show much joy. This is not good. This Bai Feng lost his rationality due to his rage. Didn't he say that he would drag this out? Indeed. Clashing head-on like this is exactly what Xiao Chun wants. He has never suffered when clashing head-on with the sharp spirit finger. That's not right. Bai Feng is Emperor Wu, after all. His mental state will not fall into disorder so easily. He must be doing this on purpose. Remember that night, when he said that Emperor Forsaken's will clone came into contact with him? An old man from the Southern Sea Divine Dragon Palace suddenly recalled this matter. The expressions of Emperor Wu immediately changed. He smiled and said, "The older the ginger, the spicier." As Xiao Chen looked at Bai Feng, who turned into a venomous dragon and tore space with one claw, his eyes flickered as he pondered. Emperor Wu's mental state cannot be broken so easily. This fellow attacked in rage. He might be purposely giving me an opportunity to make a move. I might as well beat him at his own game and see how he deals with it. Feeling confident, Xiao Qin stepped forward and gathered 4 electric whirlpools at his chest. Using half of his energy, Xiao Qin executed the sharp spirit finger. The sharp spirit finger was the strongest secret technique in the heavenly starry ocean. The moment it was executed, it shattered the dragon claw without losing any momentum. The lightning-quick finger continued forward, aiming for the vital point of Bai Feng's heart of an emperor. Dang! However, to Xiao Chen's surprise, the indestructible, unbreakable sharp spirit finger actually got blocked. The rebound of the force knocked Xiao Chen back. Caught off guard, he vomited a mouthful of blood. Bai Feng laughed loudly, "Trying to play with me? You are still too inexperienced. This is just a small trick. I sold you an opening and you actually took it for real?" Only now did Xiao Chen clearly see that the other party's heart of an emperor had a breastplate covered in divine markings stuck to the other party's heart of an emperor. This heart was not the heart of a heart but the heart of an emperor. The divine markings on the breastplate were extremely familiar to Xiao Chen. He raised his eyebrows and said softly, "This is the deity race's secret treasure, the breastplate. Only the deity race's Emperor Wu has it. Bai Feng laughed loudly and said, "It is too late for you to know now. The sharp spirit finger is useless against me. Let's see what other trump cards you have to fight with me. Blue Dragon King, it would be impolite for me to refuse your head. I will accept it." How despicable! To deal with a consummation blue-robed emperor, the great Emperor Wu actually sought out the deity race to borrow the heavenly heart mirror. This was truly flabbergasting. If Shao Chen were fighting with someone of the same cultivation, using a secret treasure was understandable. However, when facing a consummation blue-robed emperor, doing so was too degrading. Everyone in the plaza felt nervous for Shao Chen. What was he going to do now? Although Bai Feng's actions were shameless, he did not break the rules. There had never been any rules in a battle to the death. Shao Chen wiped off the blood at the corner of his lips and glanced indifferently at Bai Feng. "Who told you that my sharp spirit finger only has this much might?" "What?" Without giving Bai Feng any time to feel shocked, 9 electric whirlpools flickered at Shao Chen's chest. Light flashed, and the 9 electric whirlpools gathered at Shao Chen's fingertip at the same time. The sky immediately turned dark, so dark that one could not see their own fingers. In the entire Blue Dragon Plaza, only the electric light at Shao Chen's fingertip flickered. This time, Shao Chen used the sharp spirit finger at full power, breaking through 3 of Bai Feng's defenses before landing on the deity race's heavenly heart mirror. Crack! Everyone heard it clearly. The deity race Emperor Wu's personal heavenly heart mirror suddenly shattered. The divine patterns scattered and turned into beams of 7-colored spiritual light, scattering like meteors in the dark night. How can it be like this? How can his sharp spirit finger be so strong? Such a scene startled Emperor Wu, who accompanied Bai Feng, and they all stood up at the same time. Shao Chen frowned slightly. Even with the sharp spirit finger at full power, it only managed to shatter the heavenly heart mirror. This was not the result that Shao Chen wanted. It was rare for Bai Feng to lower his guard and think that victory was assured, giving Shao Chen such a great opportunity. It was not worth it to settle things like this. Chapter 1271. The deity race's heart-protecting mirror was indeed quite famous. The most important thing should be those ancient divine scripts. Without the divine scripts, the heavenly heart mirror's defense would not be so ridiculously strong. However, now was not the time to consider this. The most important thing was to maximize the results of this battle. Whoosh! Shao Chen shattered the heavenly heart mirror with one finger. Then, he drew his lunar shadow saber at the same time. A saber light shot out like a waterfall, chopping towards Bai Feng's head. Given the other party's golden Emperor Wu body, chopping off Bai Feng's head would not allow him to survive. If Shao Chen could do that, it would not be a loss to waste the sharp spirit finger at full power. Bai Feng was already frightened out of his wits by Shao Chen's sharp spirit finger at full power. When he saw Shao Chen's waterfall-like saber strike, he was frightened out of his wits and quickly moved back. However, he had already comprehended a saber domain. Even if he did not bring out his saber domain, he would not be able to escape. Even without using his saber domain, even a casual saber strike of Shao Chen's contained great might and extraordinary power. Shao Chen's aura and speed both improved to varying degrees, far beyond what a regular bladesman could compare to. Blood spurted out. The saber light moved astonishingly fast, chopping off half of Bai Feng's neck. However, it did not manage to chop off his entire head. To Bai Feng, who possessed the first Heaven Emperor Wu body, this minor injury was not fatal. Bai Feng drove his primordial energy and quickly eliminated the remnant saber intent in his wound, allowing his flesh to heal quickly. Whoosh! One finger, one saber. Shao Chen forced Bai Feng back. There was a distance of 10,000 meters. 10,000 meters was 5 kilometers. However, to Emperor Wu, this distance was equivalent to several hundred meters for regular cultivators, not particularly far. However, this was not the important point. The important point was that Shao Chen, a consummation blue-robed emperor, managed to force back the bona fide Emperor Wu Baifeng. In this battle with a martial emperor, the one who held the overwhelming advantage was not Baifeng but the Blue Dragon King Shao Chen, a genius who was only a consummation blue-robed emperor. Whoosh! A thunderous commotion broke out at the scene. Tens of thousands of people stood up to witness this unbelievable miracle. Shao Chen sheathed his saber and revealed a disappointed expression. His saber was not fast enough. Baifeng held the wound on his neck. His complexion was pale as he said weakly, "Blue Dragon King, I admit defeat in this match. Can you let me live?" Shao Chen saw the flicker in the other party's eyes. He knew that the other party was stalling for time and not sincerely admitting defeat. He still harbored ulterior motives and wanted to kill him. The other party was stalling for time, which was exactly what he wanted. He unleashed the telepathic finger at full power. This drained his mental energy, primordial energy, heavenly laws, and vital qi. Baifeng fancied himself clever and wanted to drag things out until his injuries recovered. Shao Chen was happy to play along with him. "Give you a chance? Why didn't you give me a chance? That day, when I went berserk, you shouted about slaying the devil. Did you ever think about how I felt?" Shao Chen mercilessly rejected the other party's request. Then, he looked coldly at the other party, searching for an opportunity to kill him in one move. "Damn it! If you had not tricked me, causing me to misjudge the might of your telepathic finger, how could you be so arrogant now?" Shao Chen retorted calmly, "Then it is my fault? Your words are really shameless. If you are really that capable, why did you go to the deity race to borrow the heavenly heart mirror?" Baifeng smiled and retorted, "Do you really think that I borrowed the heavenly heart mirror? Ah! Shao Chen, even if you kill me today, only death awaits you in the future. You have no idea how many people want to kill you and how strong they are. Your future is dark." Furthermore, Baifeng paused, and a murderous intent surged out of his eyes again. He lowered his right hand, which was covering his wound, and revealed his perfectly intact neck. His injuries had already recovered completely. Furthermore, it is still hard to say who will be the victor. Baifeng laughed loudly. Then, he turned into a venomous dragon and charged over again. This time, Baifeng tore space, wanting to charge over and catch Shao Chen off guard. However, when Baifeng arrived within 1 kilometer of Shao Chen, he suddenly felt a formless force forcing him out of that space. It was like the world that Shao Chen was in did not welcome him at all. When he reappeared, he even felt somewhat confused. Whoosh! Another saber light like a waterfall flew over. Everywhere the saber light passed, it was like a waterfall was dancing in the air, shocking everyone. This time, Baifeng could not dodge. The saber light cut his neck again, and blood spurted out like a fountain. Baifeng landed on the ground and staggered. He did his best to cover his wound with both hands, but blood still flowed out continuously from his fingertip. No matter what he did, he could not stop it. Saber, saber, saber. Baifeng found it incredibly difficult to say a single word. He could not say the word domain, no matter what. It was indeed a saber domain. However, Shao Chen did not activate it. He only used the aura of the saber domain to make Baifeng appear within 1 kilometer of him. This was not the time to reveal the trump card of the saber domain yet. The first Heaven Emperor Wu had not grasped the state of space yet. He had only scratched the surface and could tear space and teleport short distances. In terms of cultivating the saber domain, when facing Shao Chen, who had already advanced from aura to subtlety, Baifeng charging over was no different from sending himself to death. Pu Ci. A saber light exploded out of Baifeng's neck, and his head flew off. Only a headless body remained, falling on the dueling ground and kicking up a cloud of dust. The thoughts of the head flying in the air had not been completely severed yet. Scenes flickered continuously in his eyes. The still calm Shao Qin, the cultivators covering their mouths in disbelief, and the horrified expression on Emperor Wu's face, who had come with Bai Feng, were all captured in Shao Qian's eyes. However, Bai Feng no longer had the ability to think. After his head fell to the ground and rolled around, he closed his eyes. If he was given another chance, he would definitely scram the moment Shao Qian told him to scram for 3,000 taels of silver. He would not say another word. However, there were no ifs in the world, and there was no medicine for regret. From the moment Bai Feng prepared to eliminate Shao Qian, his fate was already sealed. The blood on the tip of the saber had yet to dry, dripping to the ground. Shao Qian stared at the blood on the saber and touched it. After thinking for a while, he said softly, "Aside from the stronger energy contained in Emperor Wu's blood, there is actually no difference." Strictly speaking, this was the first Emperor Wu that Shao Qian had killed head-on. However, Shao Qian was different from the cultivators in the spectator stands, who felt like they were in a dream, finding it inconceivable. Shao Qian's heart was as cold as water. He did not feel anything at all. This was because Shao Qian had never treated this Bai Feng as an equal. The stronger Shao Qian was, the higher his horizons were, and the further he was from this world. After wiping off the blood on the saber, Shao Qian sat cross-legged at the side and calmly absorbed Bai Feng's life essence. Only now did the cultivators who felt like they were in a dream confirm that what they saw was not an illusion. Shao Qian had truly killed an Emperor Wu, creating a miracle that no one had done in the past few centuries. The few Emperor Wus who had come with Bai Feng remained silent for a long time before sighing. In the past, there were some people who were said to be unrivaled, as long as Emperor Wu did not show up. Even Emperor Wu was not a match for him. I really don't know how to describe him. After Emperor Wu, the Blue Dragon King is unquestionably the strongest. It will be even harder to kill him in the future. This head will not be easy to obtain. Just as everyone was still immersed in the aftermath of Shao Qian killing Bai Feng, Shao Qian, who had finished absorbing the life essence, suddenly opened his eyes and announced an even more shocking piece of news. Today, Shao Qian, as the descendant of the Qing Emperor, announces that the Dragon's Gate will be re-established on the 28th of this month. We welcome all the heroes of the world to attend the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony. Re-establishing the Dragon's Gate? The moment Shao Qian said this, all the clamor came to a stop. The few Emperor Wus from the divine dragon palaces of the Four Seas, the Heavenly Province Academy, and the ancient noble clans were stunned at first. Then, they became agitated and enraged. Whoosh! 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 A few figures flashed and appeared in the arena. Then, they looked at Shao Qian with murderous intent. Blue Dragon King, are you muddle-headed? Do you know what you just said? Re-establishing the Dragon's Gate? Who gave you such courage? You are just a consummation blue-robed emperor, and you think you are worthy of re-establishing the Dragon's Gate? The seated Shao Qian did not get angry or shocked. He sheathed his lunar shadow saber and slowly stood up. Why can't I re-establish the Dragon's Gate? I have the Blue Dragon Medallion, and I have the Shao clan's bloodline. I am the legitimate Blue Dragon King. Isn't it logical for me to re-establish the Dragon's Gate? You make it sound so easy. What do you mean by logical? You are going against the heavens. The Dragon's Gate has already been destroyed for 10,000 years. It should not have appeared in history. Could it be that you want to be the second Qing Emperor? The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's Emperor Wu, who had the most direct connection to the Heaven Dragon City, roared uncontrollably. His killing qi became terrifyingly dense. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's reputation in the Western Sea had already been surpassed by the Heaven Dragon City. If the Dragon's Gate was re-established, the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace would definitely become a second-rate faction. No matter what, they could not let Shao Qian re-establish the Dragon's Gate. The old men of the other Holy Lands were worried that Shao Qian would become the second Qing Emperor. Back then, the Qing Emperor was extremely tyrannical, suppressing the many factions of the heavenly starry ocean to the point where they could not even raise their heads. How could they let that kind of scene repeat itself? They absolutely could not let the Dragon's Gate be re-established. The words Dragon's Gate were taboo to all the factions. Some of these factions even participated in the encirclement and suppression of the Dragon's Gate 10,000 years ago. They had a grudge against the destruction of the Dragon's Gate. Xiao Chen looked at these people one by one. Even when facing these 7 Emperor Wu's questioning and pressure from their auras, his heart did not fluctuate, remaining as calm as still water. Take back what you said. It is too late to change your mind now. That's right. Quickly take back what you said. Otherwise, don't blame us for shedding all pretense of cordiality. Brat, don't go overboard. Some tacit understanding is an agreement between the major characters. However, once you cross the line, those agreements will no longer be valid. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you killed Bai Feng. Remember, you have not advanced to Martial Emperor yet. The atmosphere was tense, ready to devolve into a chaotic battle at any moment. Several cultivators in the Blue Dragon Plaza quietly retreated, wanting to distance themselves from the impending storm. Chapter 1272. Today's matter was simply too much of a test of one's heart's endurance. First, Xiao Chen dreamily killed 1 Emperor Wu. Following that, he announced a piece of shocking news that could shake the entire Kunlun realm. Xiao Chen said indifferently, "How can I take back what I said? Are the few of you planning to work together to kill me? However, even if you kill me, I will not take back what I said." Xiao Chen's white robes fluttered as he held his saber. His clear eyes were as bright as stars and gems. As he stood on the arena, he withstood the auras of 7 Emperor Wus. However, he did not seem flustered at all. Xiao Chen's elegant demeanor made several people who had already left the plaza unwilling to shift their gazes away. A fervent light appeared in someone's eyes as he muttered to himself, "If I can have even a tenth of the Blue Dragon King's demeanor in this life, it will be worth it." Calm, persistent, calm, and tyrannical. If not for the mental barrier of advancing to Martial Emperor in 5 years, the Blue Dragon King's life would be perfect. Even if he fails to advance to Martial Emperor, the demeanor of the Blue Dragon King cannot be erased. I have never seen a young outstanding talent that can face 7 Emperor Wu so calmly. The appearance of a king made several people reluctant to leave. As they looked at Xiao Chen, their gazes filled with worship. Dong, dong, dong. Footsteps resounded. It was Lan Xiaobai and the others. They arrived behind Xiao Chen at the same time. At the crucial moment, they chose to stand behind him. Even though they were not strong enough now, their intentions were clear. "Are you going to resist to the end?" The red-clad old man from the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace said in a low, threatening voice. Xiao Chen retorted indifferently, "What do you mean by resisting? I am purely trying to revive the sect of my ancestors. As a man of the Xiao clan, everything I do is normal." Seniors, there is no need to misunderstand. The Blue Dragon King re-established the Dragon's Gate not to rule the world. He is just fulfilling his responsibility to his ancestors. Lan Xiaobai tried to ease the atmosphere, so he explained. "Is it your place to speak?" The red-clad old man raged in his heart, but he could not find an outlet to vent his anger. When he saw Lan Xiaobai speak, he did not bother to distinguish right from wrong, so he clawed at Lan Xiaobai. The berserk dragon roared furiously. His clothes trembled violently, bringing with it a heaven-shaking aura. His claw slashed out, as if a true dragon had stretched out its dragon claw from the void. It was extremely terrifying. Xiao! A gentle breeze blew in the air. The red-clad old man had just taken a step when he discovered a scabbard pressed against his throat. The person who had attacked was naturally the Blue Dragon King, Xiao Chen. He had only casually raised his hand to silently break the old man's powerful attack. This caused him to feel stifled, not daring to make any moves. Xiao Chen gently moved his wrist, and the lunar shadow saber spun around before he withdrew it. Only at this moment did the red-clothed old man's long hair, which had been blown up by the wind, fall down slightly. Fear flashed in the red-clad old man's heart. He looked at Xiao Chen and quietly took a step back. For this fellow to defeat Bai Feng so easily, he definitely did not rely on luck. The other 6 Emperor Wus all had similar thoughts in their hearts. They all unconsciously took a step back as well. With this step back, the strong aura of these Emperor Wus immediately dwarfed Xiao Chen's. The so-called heir of a king did not depend on who shouted the most ferociously or whose aura was the strongest. There was something called an aura field that would unknowingly make the opponent feel that they were a level lower than them. Where did this air come from? Naturally, it was because one was confident in one's heart and had real move. Otherwise, with just a few words, an expert would expose one's pretense and trample on one's face. When the tens of thousands of people outside saw this scene, they suddenly understood why Xiao Chen was so calm. This was because Xiao Chen did not fear these 7 Emperor Wus at all. In their eyes, the aloof first Heaven Emperor Wu was nothing to Xiao Chen from the very start. When an ant shouted at an elephant, how could the elephant lower its status and get angry at the ant? The Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony will be held on the 28th of this month. If the seniors are free, we will definitely give you the highest treatment. After the 7 Emperor Wus stepped back, Xiao Chen said calmly with a cupped fist salute, not showing any arrogance on his face. When a person performed a cupped fist salute under certain circumstances, it meant that he was sending off the guest. Don't worry. At that time, the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace will definitely arrive on time and give you a big gift, the red-clad old man said through gritted teeth. Then, he flung his hand and left, his rage evident in his words. Although the Emperor Wus present were unwilling, they had to admit that they were no longer qualified to speak on equal terms with Xiao Chen. As for being superior, there was no need to even think about it. One by one, they swung their hands and left. However, the expressions in their eyes did not disappear. Clearly, they would not let this matter rest. In a distant pavilion in the city, the 3 martial Emperor Elders of the Lunar Palace, Myriad Fiend Island, and the Yinyang Paradise entered deep thought when they saw this scene. The 3 of them were rather neutral. Originally, they just wanted to watch a duel that would shock the entire circle of Emperor Wu's people. Unexpectedly, the truly explosive thing was what Xiao Chen said after the duel. Compared to the news of the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment, the commotion caused by that duel was nothing. The heir of a king is clear to see. At such a young age, he already has such an heir. It is easier said than done to get the other Holy Lord to not fear him and believe his word. The Myriad Fiend Island's martial Emperor Wu shook his head and sighed. Tigers were feared not because tigers ate people but because tigers had the ability to do so. The Myriad Fiend Island's old man's words hit the nail on the head, exposing the logic of bandits in this world of power. One would not be killed because one wanted to dominate but because one had the ability to do so. The world absolutely could not allow a second Qing emperor to appear. They absolutely could not let the Dragon's Gate be re-established. The re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate would make Xiao Chen's luck even stronger. Most of the Holy Lord's people would not be willing to see such a scene. The Lunar Palace had always maintained a neutral policy. They would not express their stance on any matter at the first moment. At this moment, the female Emperor Wu, whom the Lunar Palace had placed in Heaven Dragon City, showed a rare change in her expression. Clearly, the news of Xiao Chen's re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate startled her, and she had not completely calmed down. When the Myriad Fiend Palace's old man heard this, he smiled faintly and said, "The Myriad Fiend Island is at the periphery of the heavenly starry ocean and rarely interferes with the internal affairs of the human race. Earlier, when the Blue Dragon King entered a state of berserking chi deviation, he did not rush to make a decision. I wonder if he can remain calm this time?" When Xiao Chun entered a state of berserking qi deviation, this was a rare opportunity to kill him. The value of Xiao Chen's head tested the hearts of many cultivators. However, in the end, the Myriad Fiend Island's old man remained unmoved, choosing to remain calm. However, this time, Xiao Chen's words made it even harder for the Lunar Palace to remain calm. The Myriad Fiend Island's ancient fiend smiled calmly and said, "There is no need for the Lunar Palace to worry about this. I am more curious about the Lunar Palace's attitude. 10,000 years ago, the Qing Emperor had a lot of stories with the Lunar Palace." The Myriad Fiend Island's ancient fiend laughed loudly and quickly left, preparing to send news of the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment back to the Myriad Fiend Island. Humph! Rage flashed on the Lunar Palace's Emperor Wu's face as she left as well. Only the mature, charming woman from the Yin-Yang Paradise remained. As she looked at the distant Xiao Chen, her charming face lit up. Boundless grace, truly moving. No wonder Su nearly fell for him when she saw him. If he were still young, I would not have dared to look at him. How unfortunate! The Yin-Yang Paradise was famous for its dual cultivation. The female disciples did not have a good reputation, but no one knew about this. Such a sect had the inheritance of the ancient, emotionless sect. While it looked unrestrained and unrestrained, one could not fall in love. Once one fell in love, it would damage the foundation of their cultivation technique, resulting in a backlash. After the three left, none of the Emperor Wus from the other holy lands of the Heaven Dragon Island remained. These martial emperors would definitely spread the news of Xiao Chen's re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate to their holy lands in the shortest time possible. After that, the news of the re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate would spread throughout the entire Kunlun realm in less than 3 days. This would result in a huge change. Up in the arena, Lan Xiaobai watched all the Emperor Wus leave. He heaved a sigh of relief. However, when he thought about how many more Emperor Wus would arrive on the 28th, he could not help frowning heavily. Xiao Chen's expression did not change much. He took out a name list that he had prepared long ago and handed it to Lan Xiaobai. He said, "This is the list of honored guests. Brother Xiaobai, I'll have to trouble you to send them invitations." Lan Xiaobai casually opened the invitation, and his expression suddenly froze. When he saw the names on it, he was somewhat flabbergasted. "Xiao Chen, are these really the honored guests of Heaven Dragon City willing to come?" The Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony was not an ordinary ceremony. Coming was not just to congratulate Xiao Chen but also to express their attitude, to show their support. Right now, Xiao Chen's relationship with the various Holy Lands was not very good. Under such circumstances, very few could withstand the pressure and come. Hence, Lan Xiaobai asked this. Xiao Chen replied with certainty, "It should not be a problem to send half. Several of the people here owe me favors. I believe that my judgment of people should not be too bad." "All right, I'll go and make the arrangements." Lan Xiaobai revealed joy on his face. As long as half of the people on the name list could come, the pressure on Heaven Dragon City would decrease significantly. Xiao Chen turned his head and said to Imochen, "There is still half a month. I'll leave the arrangements for the re-establishment ceremony to you." Imochen nodded obediently and said, "Don't worry. Leave it to me. This is just a small matter." That was right. To Imochen, this was indeed just a small matter. The important thing in her heart was that she wanted to personally help Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen improved too quickly. Now, even when facing First Heaven Emperor Wu, he could achieve an overwhelming victory. As for Mo Chen, even if she had the Book of Heavenly Works and improved rapidly, she still could not compare to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen turned his head and looked at the many friends beside him. Yu Chenxi, Jin Lin, and the others all showed worried expressions. He smiled and said, "Let's go. Do what you need to do. This is not too difficult." To Xiao Chen, this was indeed not the most difficult hurdle. Compared to the great tribulation of wind and fire, this was far from it. If Xiao Chen could not even clear this hurdle, Then he could forget about his great tribulation of wind and fire. He might as well just scatter his cultivation and be an ordinary person.